All right, it's 5:30 p.m. We are going to start. The first item on the agenda is the Pledge of Allegiance. If we could all stand, please. Pledge allegiance to the flag. Thank you. I'd also like to read our land acknowledgement. The Mashpee Public Schools recognizes and honors the many generations of Wampanoag people who have lived and have been sustained in this territory for more than 10,000 years. The next item on the agenda is the ratification of the agenda. Are there any edits, discussion? If not, I'll take a motion.
Mrs. Vinitsky, am I supposed to bring up, or did you put it on this one, of the senior trip overnight to Camp Linden?
We were going to do that under other, and I did not put it on.
Oh.
So adding the field trip.
If you could add conversation and possible vote on, it's during senior week, the seniors want to do supervised overnight at Camp Linden.
So where's that going?
I was going to go under items the chair did not recently know in advance.
Okay.
13.
Well, the chair is here, so I'll get back before.
You guys are efficient, it's 5:31.
We're trying to be efficient. Is that something you're presenting or somebody else is presenting?
Well, I'm not seeing the senior class advisor here, so I will do my best to present, or maybe Principal McSweeney might be able to. When it comes time to possibly vote on the overnight for the seniors at Camp Linden?
Yes.
Okay, together we should be able to do it.
The reason I was asking is,
Yes.
right now that would put it at the very last.
Oh, yeah, no, they're not here, so the last is fine.
Of the meeting, and if we needed to move it up in the order of the meeting, the committee should be aware that we want to, or requesting to do that.
Oh, Andrew probably can address it too. He's coming in behind the green curtain.
No, I'm fine with it being at the end because I feel like it should, I don't know, part of me would like to hear more about it. If the advisor's here or if we put it on another, when is this overnight?
It's not until it's May.
So can we put it on the
28th?
next
We could
agenda?
put it on the March 20th.
Yeah.
I think they're just getting into their planning and want to.
Let's do the March 20th, I think, please, rather than kind of cobble it together. I'm
So who
sorry,
made a motion?
I don't know where we're at.
You know, oh, do we?
You made the motion?
Yeah.
Okay.
Do we have a second?
I'll second it.
Okay. So any further discussion? Okay, hearing none. Dawn, how do you vote?
Yes.
Matt?
Yes.
Brian?
Yes.
And I also am a yes. Okay. Do we have anyone for public comment this evening? Okay. And up next, the best part of every meeting is when we get to hear from our students. So I believe we have a homeschool presentation tonight.
So I'm so excited to welcome our second and first grader here today to share about No Place for Hate. And I just would like to acknowledge Mrs. Briel, our art teacher, who has been doing a great project with that, and Mrs. Siegel, who has also been spearheading our No Place for Hate, and Mr. Frena as well. What has been so great about this No Place for Hate initiative, it's really building the vocabulary and a skill set for an inclusive environment on so many different levels. So thank you all for being here, and I'm going to turn it over.
Hold on though, before you turn it over, if any parents want to stand behind us to get pictures, come on back. You don't have to be shy. I know this is a better seat, so
We'll take pictures at the end.
feel free to stand behind us if you want. Okay, take it away. Sorry.
Thank you. Thank you.
All right, friends, so if we could introduce ourselves first. We want to back up a little bit back here so we can show some pictures too. So Miss Odin, you would like to go first? Introduce yourself, what grade you're in.
Hi, my name is Odin. I'm in second grade.
Hi, Odin.
Hi, my name's Anna. I'm in second grade. Hi, my name's June, and I'm in first grade. Hi, my name is Laura, and I'm in second grade. Hi, my name is Mila, and I'm in second grade.
So thank you, my amazing students. We're really happy to have you here. So in art, we talked about diversity, inclusion, and allyship, and we also talked about diversity. So we're talking about those 4 vocabulary words, and we were able to make a mural, or we're going to put the mural up. We all have a puzzle piece of the different piece of the puzzle to show that we fit and belong in Mashpee. So the students decorated, they added interest, things about them, but then they also talked about KCC, our school, our pledge and our promise that we're talking about, that everyone belongs, fits in. And then this was the story we read, which was really enriching. We talked about everyone belonging. We talked about people who are like us and different than us, which is great. And here's some other pictures from different students making their puzzle piece in art. And here is Sam. Here's Samson holding his puzzle piece, and a couple other first graders here. I see June up here holding her puzzle piece. And some other students. Here's Miss Lara. And it just was really amazing, the conversations and discussions that some of the classes had together. It was really made me choke up a little bit. So here's Miss Mila and Odin. And I like how Odin actually added some of his favorite sports characters on here too, to share a little thing about himself. And here are some other students. So Mila, would you like to talk about what you added for your details on your puzzle piece?
I added to my puzzle piece colors and no place for hate. So Laura added KCC, and she wrote it, I think, about 10 times. Everyone is welcome, our school rocks, and a rainbow and some smiley faces. What I added on mine is me, a no place for hate. I love KCC, I love school, and math. We have math night tomorrow, so I know you're excited about that.
I added the Patriots logo and Tom Brady's jersey.
I did a Mashpee, and I said all are welcome in Mashpee School Rocks.
Does anybody have any questions for the kiddos? Or Miss Beth, if you want to add anything? Okay. All right, thank you, everybody.
Good job.
So I do have one quick question. Where will the puzzle be?
Oh, so the puzzle piece will be, we have a big Mashpee M at the front of the school, and we're going to fit all the puzzle pieces around the Mashpee M.
Oh, around the M, okay.
Yes, yes. So it's right kind of by, right when you walk into the Coon School on the left.
Okay.
Can we get a school committee photo just for the children?
Thank you. So this is an initiative from pre-K through grade 2, where all of the students are filling in that puzzle piece, and they will fit together, which is a wonderful, just a visual. It's a conversation in building that vocabulary of inclusivity in multiple ways. So that was the first activity that was approved from ADL that sponsors No Place for Hate, and Mr. Prana and Ms. Beth are going to share the second activity that's coming along.
Thank you. Hi, I'm Brian Prana. I'm the assistant principal, and this is...
Hi, I'm Beth Siegel. I'm the behavior analyst and No Place for Hate coordinator at KCC.
So as you know, all about No Place for Hate is about being included in inclusivity. So our next project is that we're going to be reaching out to some families, and we have some interview questions about how they feel at KCC. And these students are going to be students that have just joined us this year, about how they felt on their first day of school, how they feel at recess, and things that were okay to feel, like nervous. And then also, how were they made to feel included at the school? They're going to be videoed, and then during that time period, after they're videoed, those videos are going to be shown throughout the entire school, and then discussions will happen about how those students felt, and having the student's voice at the center of those discussions. When we were building out these things and working with Miss Beth as the coordinator for this, we really wanted the student voice to be front and center in the discussion pieces. Because we all know that we could be talking about it, but it doesn't feel the same, especially when like the peers and the kids are talking about it.
So an aspect of this I really like is we're going to tie in some of the social emotional ruler curriculum and talk about the what it means to really feel included, and tie that to the mood meter, and then what it feels like to be excluded, and tie that also to the mood meter and allyship, and making sure that kind of just it's a nice way to kind of pull everything together in a comprehensive way and really have student voices come to light.
A few weeks ago, we kicked it off by doing a rally at the rail where the entire school community got together. The second, Coombs is 2 floors, so the second floor, all the kids gathered around on the rails that looked over the library. The first floor came into the library, and we really kicked it off about talking about the promise that kids signed. And also today, Mrs. O'Brien has a promise for us to sign as well, too, as we are a No Place for Hate district as well. This is the No Place for Hate promise that the Casey Coombs School, all kids after the rally at the rail signed it in their individual classrooms and then posted it so everybody can see it when they walk through the hallways. Kids recited this as well too at the rally at the rail and talked about what it means and kind of identify what hate really looks like, but also what love and compassion looks like here at KCC.
So we invite anyone who would like to sign this. This poster is going by
The front office. So we do have the front office staff sign this one, so we would love to have our school committee members and the superintendent and assistant superintendent and any other family members that would like to sign this. And it is, I promise to do my best to treat everyone fairly. I promise to do my best to be kind to everyone, even if they are not like me. If I see someone being hurt or bullied, I will tell an adult, and everyone at school should feel safe and happy in school. And I want our school to be a no place for hate school. So would anyone care to sign our pledge?
Bring it.
Awesome. I've got a lot of colors too, so you get to have choice.
While we're signing, every building in our district is a No Place for Hate school, and so I'm so excited seeing how Coombs did it, and I know Quashnet has kicked it off, as has the high school. So this is all part of the Anti-Defamation League, which was funded through a grant that brought the peer leaders into the district as well. Okay, I want because that's my favorite.
Does anyone have any questions for us?
Not questions, just more so thank you guys for coming and present to us. I know that takes a lot of courage to come up and stand up in front of a bunch of people like you guys don't know us. So thank you so much for coming out and presenting. I love your art.
Nice job.
Brian or Don, you have anything?
Don't think you're going anywhere either without a picture.
Absolutely. So that's a definite. You have to come up for a picture with the school committee. Okay.
Oh, you guys.
I think we have another question.
I just wanted to commend the creativity of all the kids, you know, the way that they express themselves through the artwork and what they added to the pieces to make it individual to them and to express their feelings. And to the administration, this is a great idea, and I'm glad to see it. So thank you.
Thank you. I have to acknowledge our entire staff, actually. Every single teacher has really supported this initiative, and every single homeroom has that pledge, that promise, with every single conversation and signature. It's just so wonderful to see everyone on board with this at the Coombs School. So thank you to an amazing staff.
I hope we get to see pictures once the puzzle's put up.
Yes.
Okay.
And on the blog this Sunday, you can see some videos from the rally at the rail, which was quite fun, where all the students were up on top. And
I just asked Andrew if he remembered.
Oh yeah, those are like, I still remember them even in senior year. They were so fun.
Rally at the Rail was the best.
Come on up, guys.
Oh, yeah,
We won't
sorry.
find so far.
Miss Benitsky, too, if you are comfortable signing. You're the boss of your signature. I don't get to say.
Everybody?
Thank you.
Ready? You have to sign Yes, please, thank you.
Oh, right. While they're doing this, you were stunning. You were stunning. As was your whole family. That dress.
We clean up nice.
Gorgeous. That's my favorite color. And it looks so good on both you guys. Both you and
The green or?
Yeah.
Oh, Lily's green, yeah.
Weren't you in green
I was
also?
in black.
Really? Well, you looked amazing. I never see like it was just beautiful.
It was an amazing wedding.
We're so glad.
Terrible colors.
Okay. All right. Well, while families are signing that, I love seeing all the families signing. It's fantastic to see the buy-in from our families on these initiatives as well. We'll give it a minute to settle.
I'll say it.
It's okay, don't.
No, I'm just gonna say, I'm not gonna tell them to go like to be
Okay. All right. So up next, we have the approval of minutes from January 17th, pages 1 through 3 in our packet. I'll entertain a motion to approve.
Madam Chair, I'll make the motion to approve the meeting minutes from January 17th, 2024.
Thank you. I'll second. Do I need a second, rather?
Yeah, second.
All right, Dawn. Thank you. Any discussion, amendments, anything? Okay. Hearing none. Dawn?
Yes.
Matt?
Yes.
Brian?
Yes.
I also am a yes. Okay, thank you. Do we have a representative from the tribe tonight?
Hello, everyone.
Hello.
Before I start,
Oh, yay. Yes, please.
hello, everyone. I'm probably a new face to many of you. My name is Brad Lopes, and I am the Native American Teacher Retention Initiative Grant Program Manager at the Mashpee Wampanoag Education Department. I'm a Quinault Wampanoag citizen, and it is an honor and privilege of mine to be able to serve my sister community of Mashpee. And so I'm really excited to share some of our updates with you all this evening. I come to you all as a previous classroom teacher, and it was really warming to me to see that display by your students. And so it made me feel welcome. And so thank you all for that, and thank your students as well. Coming in from Darius Coombs, which many of you probably know very closely. Darius has been doing some amazing things for a lot of Wampanoag kids. He has a full group of tribal boys that he started and is starting this week in Quashnet, as many of you probably know, serving grades 3 through 6. This allows kids to get that cultural enrichment and really that support from somebody like Darius. He has also been attending lunch bunches, as we all have been, at our various schools. Darius is currently working with about 30 kids in Quashnet every Monday and Friday. And so it gives them that opportunity to really see Mr. D and have some fun with him, but also feel that connection too as well. And like you said, it's time to get to spend with their cousins, and that's really helpful. As all of you might have seen too, the Wampanoag exhibit in the courtyard is kind of getting close to being finished. They're working on benches right now, and it's looking amazing. I got to see it today twice. So Casey Coombs, we're serving about 20 or so tribal students for lunch bunches from pre-K to second grade on Wednesdays and Thursdays. And so that's something where Darius spends time with the kids to connect them with that cultural aspect and get to watch a few videos with them too and share that aspects with them. It's also nice because they get to see their family in those videos too as well, usually. And then also tutoring is available too. We are tutoring 3 students at Quashnet, grades 3, 5, and 6 currently, but there's more available as well for students too. Some upcoming events, February 13th, there's an information session during homeroom on the Woods Hole SEA Expedition Summer Program, which is a great opportunity for Wampanoag kids to get a scholarship out to go out to sea, get to work out there and be supported as well. And the ARP grant is offering a $500 stipend as well. February 28th, there's an information session during lunch periods for the internship opportunity with the tribal archivist. Really great opportunity. And I'll probably be reaching out here pretty soon as well to see if I could set up some time to also talk about the NATRE grant with your students as well. And I'll share a little bit more about that in a second. Starting February 28th, the Ed Department will be at lunches on Wednesdays at the Mashpee Middle High School. And we will be there to kind of serve as lunch bunch groups and support students with their academics, but also their cultural connections too. And John, who works closely with us, many of you know John, he has met with 9 different students at the middle high school on 6 different dates to help them with largely college and career readiness services. They're looking at schools like Cape Tech, UMaine, Haskell, and also just kind of getting some support as they navigate that process too and search for that next step in their lives. So I'm very new. This is only my first month with the department. And so I managed what's called the Native American Teacher Retention Initiative grant. And the program, the purpose of this grant is really to recruit and support Native teachers in K through 12 education. I graduated from the University of Maine at Farmington back in 2017 as a secondary education social studies teacher. And I've spent about 5 years in the classroom and 2 years in museum education. And now I have the honor of being able to recruit and work with Native teachers and also non-Native teachers as well. Really have a background in professional development. And we're also here to help support those kids navigate that process from the time they think they want to be a teacher through that kind of college prep program, through MTELs and all that different kind of stuff, and get the support they might need both financially but also academically as they navigate that process. And so having some familiarity with the system myself, I'm excited to help them navigate that and go through it. But I'm also here for Mashpee as well, in any way that I can help teachers because it trickles right down to students. And you all serve so many amazing kids here and so many amazing community members come through this school. And so if there's any way that we can help, that I can help, I would love to. And so I think that's mostly it. I do have a flyer here as well for the NATRE grant that I can leave with you all too. It explains more about the grant services. And if you do know any students that are in that 10th grade, 9th grade, 11th and 12th grade that might be interested in becoming a K through 12 educator, even paraprofessionals, administrators, coaches, let us know. We'd love to talk with them, let them know that this exists and that we can support them.
Great.
Yeah, absolutely. Just hand it up.
Any questions from the committee?
Oh, sorry. Yes.
So two questions. One, you mentioned that you have capacity in regard to tutoring. How would, a Native American child express that and/or their parents and/or a teacher be able to make that connection so that you are aware of that need?
Yeah, I think reach right out to us. We'll go through the parents, we'll work through the parents as well, and kind of get in contact with them and see how to best make that connection too, for the parent, for the kid, working alongside you all as well, the administrators as well.
Is there some sort of notice that's been distributed to the families?
I believe so, at least I'd have to double check, but I believe so, yeah.
Oh, okay. Otherwise, the teachers or vis-a-vis the administration could connect you. Is that right?
Yep,
Okay.
yep.
I just wanted to, one other question was, and I think it's interesting, and I think it's a great opportunity for kids who are interested in education as a potential career.
Yep.
Are you saying that there is potential financial aid available through this program that you're
Yeah.
shepherding?
Our goal is, sorry, continue, sorry.
I'm sorry, I got distracted for a second.
Sorry, Doc. Just pointing out the money that was listed on paper.
Losing track of what I was about to say. I guess bottom line is there's financial aid opportunities available for kids who are interested in that particular field.
Yes, absolutely. Hoping to cover those fees that might be a barrier for some kids as well, and also just whatever fees might come up in that journey.
Okay, well, that's a great thing for potential kids.
And the goal is that they come back here. That's the other exciting part about the grant. There's something really special when you can see yourself and your teachers too as well, at least, and that connection is really important. And so we're asking that folks either, really they come back and do their student teaching and apply to at least one of the 7 districts that surround and serve Mashpee students, and a lot of Aquinnah students too as well, and many, many different kids from other federally recognized tribes and non-federally recognized tribes too. And that includes Mashpee. So, and I got to spend some time with one of the teachers in Mashpee today, Janelle, and she's awesome. She's a really great educator, and so I'm excited to hopefully be able to support her as well, because for teachers in the field, there will be professional development opportunities with PDPs, so it can go towards their licensure as well. So really making sure that if we can offer it, we will offer that full gambit.
Great. Yeah. Sounds like you're doing some great things there. So thank you.
Thank you.
Matt, Brian?
No question.
I had one quick one. So if a student comes in at the high school level, does this grant support them all the way up until it stays with them, or is it just at that level and then once they're done?
It'll stay with them as long as they're committed to the initiative, and the funding will lapse in 2028, but it really gives us a 4-year window starting this year really, which is a good start, and hopefully for many kids we'll get them through that journey as well.
And I think it's great too that it reaches out to current teachers as well. I think that's really kind of, and that would be paraprofessionals too. So if there was a paraprofessional in our district right now who was considering going for their licensure to become a full teacher, this could potentially help them with that.
Totally.
That's great.
Or if it's somebody looking for their master's or whatever it might be, there's a ton of different things we can support because it's about retaining teachers.
Excellent.
Yeah.
It's really neat too, because as we've been talking about paths and students being able to figure out where they want, so if education's their path, this is an opportunity financially to get to that path. That's awesome.
Yeah, thank you.
Can I add just a comment? Is that okay? So, and hi Brad,
Hi.
I hope, I got your email today and I'm really excited to work with you. I'm the assistant superintendent. So one of the programs that we have offered through the Workforce Board and the Governor's Office over the last 2 years is the HiSEP program, which is the high school internships. So students like Andrew can apply to be in this program and provide tutoring and teaching to younger students, and they get paid to do it. So one of the things I want to make sure we connect you with Mike Looney, who's our director of CTE. Do you know him yet? Have you
Not yet.
So he coordinates the HiSEP program, and I want to make sure you have eyes on any of the kids who sign up who might be a really good fit for this at the same time.
Totally, thank you.
So I'm going to send you both an email and say, hey, and then, we can go from there, okay?
Thank you, I appreciate that.
It's so nice to meet you,
It's nice to meet you as well.
I'm going to echo Hope's welcome. So thank you for being here. Appreciate the update and looking forward to hearing more of what comes of all these great programs and initiatives. So thank you
all. I can't stay for the rest of the meeting this evening,
fine.
but
That's okay.
I look forward to working with you all in the future. So thank you for all the work you all do as well.
Thank you.
Thank you. And I'll leave a business card.
Great, thank you.
Is it okay if I post this poster on the website that we have to show our students? Just make them aware? Okay.
Go for it.
I just want to make sure.
Share it all around.
Oh, if they go on the daily.
Yeah.
Thank you.
All right. Mr. Kelly, do you have anything you'd like to share from the high school?
I do.
Middle high school.
So I've gotten a lot of feedback from students on the new way that we're doing class selection for next year. Overall, it was very positive. They liked being able to go around and look at all the different different subjects, different what's it called? Sorry, blank. Electives, and then they were able to talk to their teachers about, hey, can I take this? Can I take that? I know at least one student that took a class that he wouldn't have otherwise because he's like, oh, this sounds fun and it looks engaging. So I'd say that was a big success. Overall, I've gotten a lot of feedback from students about the phone policy and the bring your own device policy, and they're still a little upset about that, but that's to be expected, honestly. And one last update is that the school science fair is next Thursday, I believe. So if you want to pop out, a lot of our students will be there, and I have seen a lot of the projects, and they are very good. So if you had any questions for me.
On the program of studies, did you hear any feedback in regard to, was it sufficient time for students to be able to get to all of the areas that they wanted to? Or was it rushed? What was the impression of the students?
I haven't heard any complaints about the time. I definitely think some students went through it faster than others, but I don't think there was any big outstanding issues with the time. I feel like it was paced well.
Okay.
Any other questions? All right. Thank you, Andrew.
Oh, I do.
Oh, sorry, go ahead, John.
One other thing. And I don't know if anything happened since it was brought up, I guess, at a prior meeting in regard to how the lunch room is organized, and there was some talk about maybe changing the way students access the lunch room.
Nothing's changed yet. I'm not sure about what the food department is doing, but nothing's really changed too much since we brought it up.
Okay.
I'm not saying they aren't doing anything. I don't know.
You would know before we would, so.
Yeah.
That's the reason I'm asking.
I can speak to that.
Okay.
We had our weekly meeting today, and that did get brought up in the conversation. They are looking to have a new layout most likely after break, if the DPW is available during break to help them move some things around. But they do have a plan going forward to make that area a little bit easier to get in and out of. That makes sense.
Yeah, that'll be nice.
Excellent.
Great.
I'll ask you next month. If I remember.
All right, Superintendent DeBoer.
So just to update, we had a half day this past Monday, and one of the main focus points is the work of Dr. Cleese Warnham. She's working with some teachers at the middle high school and majority of teachers at Quashnet. I was able to participate in the high school session, and again, it's similar to what Principal O'Brien said. A lot of it is that common language and understanding, and then opportunities to sort of role play scenarios, because it is it takes teachers out of their comfort zone to really address inappropriate comments that students and adults can make. So I think the more that they do it, and the more the comfort level increases. We did have Dr. Warnham last Wednesday to do a parent workshop. Again, it was similar about sort of that understanding of trying to be in other people's shoes, particularly marginalized groups, and particularly from a young person's perspective. And although we did not have a huge turnout, there were about 25 people there, it still is a step in the right direction, and the more times we do it and the more people that hear from her and through her, we will improve. So
was the community invited to that, like the one before?
yes, and it was on the board out on the street as well. Maybe it's January, you know, you get home and you don't want to get cold again. And I will say Food Services Department did a really great spaghetti dinner that was free for all families. There was some basketball going on. We did have babysitting for grade students, Alina, Charlie, Brody, and Hannah. So they had a 1-to-1 ratio there with 4 kids that they watched, but it's good. I think we need to do more of that so it becomes sort of part of what our school community is promoting. You have the enrollment and personnel page. I don't know if you have any questions on that. That is as of the 2nd. So 1,452 students. You can see the enrollment in terms of homeschooled at 19. Cape Tech, we have 45 kids across 4 grades. Sturgis, there's 21 students across the 4 grades. And we have 257 students on IEPs. In terms of personnel, you can see that we have Michaela Cogswell is a new administrative assistant for the assistant principal grades 7 through 9 at MMHS. And Caitlin Adair is a new recess monitor here at Quashnet. We are still looking to hire a paraprofessional at Mashpee Middle High School. We did also hire a new Mashpee Middle High School principal, but we will be doing her sort of big introduction at the March 20th meeting. She was not able to come tonight, and she actually doesn't start till July 1st. So we have time. In terms of administrator updates, why don't we have our principals go, and then I have some things to share after in case they may or may not talk about it as well. And I was hoping that Dr. Hanscom will talk a little bit about the LPAC meeting, the first ever that we had in the district this past week. So principals, is there a choice of who would like to go first? It looks like Mr. Switzer's standing for that opportunity.
The fingers are pointing your way.
Yeah, in addition to standing, everyone is pointing at you, so.
Good thing I write the blog because I can just pull that up and it reminds me of all the good stuff we've done and are doing. So I'll share a few things that we've done and some things that are coming up. I do want to give a big shout out to our new food service director, Catherine Kingsbury. I think she really gets the kids, and the food in the lunchroom is really important, not just what they eat, but portions, especially like we have such a difference here at Quashnet of what our 3rd graders and our 6th graders need. So she started this new program called the Mashpee Munchables, and a lot of kids are selecting that. They can like build their own pizzas and different options, and that seems to be going really well. And I just appreciate that she's kind of got her finger on the pulse. She's constantly checking in with me and the kids and just seeing how things are going. So that's been a real success so far in the cafeteria, and that's new as of last week. Mark your calendars for February 29th, the leap year, the day of the leap year. It is STEAM Night, which is our big event here at Quashnet. It'll be my first time, but I've heard great things. I'm sure that it'll be a packed house, and we're going to have tons of great opportunities for kids, including rocket building and virtual reality. And it's 2 hours from 5 p.m. to 7 p.m. and kids can come, and there's just tables set up to experience different things that have to do with STEAM. And, just remembering that that A stands for art, and we've progressed from the old-fashioned STEM. So also on this past Monday, we had a giant robotics competition, which if you haven't seen it, is really pretty impressive. It happens in our gym, and there are schools from Hopkinton and other places up near Boston that come and compete. We had 2 teams that did progress into the final round, which was really cool to see. It's Vex Robotics is the company if you want to see more. And again, I'm new to everything in Mashpee this year, but it was really impressive. Then our team meets twice a week after school, 5th and 6th graders. So they've been working all year to get ready for that. And the last thing I'll mention is this past Friday, we did our 5th and 6th grade social put on by the school council. It was way more of a success than I could have imagined. As someone who used to chaperone middle school dances, I was a little nervous, but it was not that. It was really cool. The kids came. They don't get to socialize in that environment too often, or an environment where they're free to talk. We had pizza, games. Big shout out to Mr. Williams. He is a fabulous MC. He had Minute to Win It games going on. The kids really enjoyed it. We had over 100 kids attend, which I heard was way up from last year where it was about 40 students. So we pushed it really hard, and it was really fun. And I just want to say thank you to the 5th and 6th grade parents. They were awesome at pickup. I was less nervous about the actual thing than going out in the parking lot, and all the parents wanted the kids to come out of the parking lot. But they all got in the loop, and we got everyone out safely within 20 minutes. So it was really great to see that. Let's see, what else do we have coming up? Yeah, no, I think that's good for now. That's 3 or 4 things. So thank you guys.
Will those socials happen more frequently, or is it like a one and done? Like, are you anticipating maybe?
I think we could do another one. I think one of the really nice, exciting things about it is that it's that one time a year. I mean, it's put on by the student council, and they do a lot of other things like Spirit Week and other social opportunities for students. So, we could do another one. It's worth considering, but I really think one of the best parts about it was the kids really look forward to it, and the 5th graders like, oh, I can't wait for next year. So I think that's a nice aspect of it. And as someone who has done many middle school dances in a year, they kind of do get a little stale. So
I'm just remembering middle school dances in the cafeteria here.
Yeah.
It happened.
But it's
regularly.
different.
It's
It's not a dance, and people kept referring to a dance. I was like, it's not a dance.
No, I got that. I know there's a difference.
social.
It's a social.
And it was it was a kindness social, the culmination of Kindness Week last week.
Correct. So to forget pizza and other things, they had to write kindness slips about each other, and they got tickets. And then Mr. Williams would read them off as the night went on. So there was a big aspect of that, like the Kindness Week. Yeah.
Excellent. Any other questions?
All right. Thank you, everybody. Thanks.
I feel like Price is Right music should play or something while you switch out.
Good evening, everybody. Thank you for the opportunity to give you an update as to life at Mashpee Middle High School. Andrew has touched on some of it as well, so I'll try not to be redundant. Amazingly, the first semester has concluded. You would have received report cards last week, but half the year is done, which is amazing. We did have on January 30th, which was the same day that report cards went out, I applaud our faculty for buying in and assisting in putting together a day that we called Program of Study and Learning Rotations. Students went through 4 rotations on that day. One rotation was with Talia from the Wampanoag tribe. We had another rotation where students worked with their guidance counselors on their MyCap plan. We had another rotation where Jason Cross, who was a motivational speaker, spoke with all grades. And then, as Andrew had mentioned, we had an opportunity for students to visit with teachers in each of the department to help them make some decisions, to inquire as to what programs were about. And we try to emphasize to our students that it's their educational plan moving forward. What are their goals? Where do they want to be? Where do they see themselves? And to really engage in the selection of courses process moving forward. We have sped up that process this year. and students actually this week are actually receiving their course selection sheets. Those will be shared with their families at home as we encourage the students, as we encourage parents on the program of study night. That really is good dinner conversation. That really is an opportunity for you and your child to have that discussion of where do you want to be? Where are you headed? Let's take a look at what the program of study offers for you. We did include this year on the selection sheet, there's a QR code so that you can actually see the program of studies as you're having that discussion with your learner. Feedback, we did receive some feedback. Some of the feedback we got, that we talked about the 7th graders, we left them for an entire period to do their MyCap. That was maybe a little long for 7th graders in their attention span. So we learned that. With the other grades, we had split them. The 9th grader, we also gave a full period, which was more appropriate. It was really to make sure, again, reiterating, have the discussion about where do you want to be? What is your plan? Where do you want to go? The goal this year, we're moving up about 6 weeks, the scheduling process, with the goal of students going home with their schedule at the end of this school year. So the learning process starts day 1 next school year when they come to school. And also teachers have their teaching schedule for the next year so that they're 100% prepared to educate on day 1 next year. They always are. It's nice to have a little bit extended time to do that. Yeah.
The kids' schedule would have just the schedule.
Just the schedule, not the teachers' names. Yes, and that's purpose.
I know one 9th grader who thinks that that's fine and is just happy that she'll be going home knowing what her blocks will be.
Right.
So I don't think that's going to be an issue from what I have heard. So
my years of experience have taught me that it's amazing how thrilled people are with their schedules when they get them. And then all of a sudden they get the same schedule the first day of school in case they lost it over the summer, okay? And all of a sudden they want to make a change. Well, you have the exact same. What kind of happened? So we found that to be a wonderful educational opportunity. As was mentioned, the science fair will be February 15th, 5:30 to 7. Certainly you're all welcomed. And Stephanie Soers, our department head, shared with me this year that we're also going to have a middle school science fair where our high school students are going to serve as judges. And again, that's always a wonderful mentoring opportunity, always an opportunity to have peer role models and a way of giving back. So we're looking forward to that. Women of Rock will be a musical fundraiser Saturday evening at 7 o'clock in our auditorium. I understand that will be quite an event. There are still tickets available. I know I'm going with some friends. It's certainly my era of music, and I look forward to that. Another blood drive on the 15th. I've learned since being in Mashpee that we are very committed to the Red Cross and to blood donations, and that's wonderful. And they time them right at the intervals where if you gave, you may give again, and many people do that, so that's great. The National Guard and School Resource Officer Katie Hennessy will be having an impaired driving demonstration workshop coming up. That's, again, we try to tie in as we get closer to the spring and activities that'll be happening to educate our young people on how, should they make a poor choice of using drugs or alcohol, how that would impair them. What that's like. So they actually go through that process using goggles, and again, a teachable moment. The Immigration Project, which is the result of 3 years of work with our Human Rights Club. There'll be 38 narratives at this show, which will be Saturday the 17th from 3 to 5. Kind of a tough day. It's the start of February school vacation, but we certainly hope that some people show up for that. There's been a lot of work put into that. As we're aware, the district calendar always lists our fundraisers, our field trips, our happenings. To further communicate with the Mashpee community, thanks to the work of our Builders Club and Casey Pinzanault and Laura Taylor, we've now added a Saturday communication that goes home to all families, which is geared towards the families that will list all of the happenings within our school community. We've also added daily announcements that are more staff student based. They go out daily now. We've added those to the TV as you enter Mashpee Middle High School. We've also put a touchscreen in the cafeteria so students can get in that. And that was the result of good feedback from Andrew's group as well too. You can never have enough communication, though sometimes we think we're redundant. Better to be redundant than to not have that communication available. We've been busy this week with senior night for student athletes. Amazingly, now the second athletic season is coming to an end, and that's always a nice evening to recognize the young people that have committed to playing athletics and our student athletes. So that's gone on. Mr. Myers, you mentioned about the lunch flow, and sometimes it's the little tweaks in life that can make flows happen. This second semester, we were pleased that there's a bit more of an even breakout of our lunches. The first semester, the second lunch seemed to be a little bit smaller. There's a more even distribution. And some of the silly things, we now have the administration holding the doors where kids get their water. As crazy as that sounds, it's like stuck. And kids will pull, and then the cooler shifts, and the tray is dropping a little bit. The simple adjustment of having someone hold the doors open so kids can more quickly grab their waters and grab their milks, believe it or not, expedites it a little bit more, and it gives you an opportunity to say hello in a quick, short way and make a comment about a cool pair of kicks or a t-shirt or something like that. So that's what's happening at Mashpee Middle High School, a vibrant community, a place where we're getting ready for another break because the flus are coming again, the COVID's coming again. It's time to air it out, but things are going well, and we always welcome your feedback. We appreciate you coming when you do, and people that swing by our school and check out what's happening. So thank you for that. You have a question, I can tell.
I do.
Okay.
One thing that came up when the school committee met with the student advisory committee was in regard to ability to be able to access their course credits and what their transcripts look like, and that apparently was not an easy or readily available process. With them making course selections, it's important, I think, for them to be able to easily know where they stand, because those decisions are important. How are we making that easier for them, or is it easier and it's a communication issue?
So I concur with what you're saying, and the superintendent and I on Thursdays have talked about that piece. So it really is the technology component of Power School, and we were dealing with the issue of credits and seeing how many credits you have each year, because that would be a good thing to see as you progress.
Right.
And in speaking with Mr. Maroney, that's a lot easier said than done. We would have to take a look at it changing how the screen for. I'm a technology nerd, so please excuse my ignorance in defining this. But he would have to come up with designing a new printout, if you will, and adding some components to how the report is distributed. It's easy to do the transcript for seniors at the end, and it's easy to do at the end, but along the way, it's much more difficult, I'm told. What we have added this year in the comments categories, it addresses attendance and students who will lose credit due to attendance reasons. Those comments have been added. Mr. Maroney is in the process to addressing exactly what you're saying, Mr. Myers. How can we show that every single report card that goes out? And as of the date of this question of you to me, that hasn't been answered. So I apologize for the answer. It's a truthful answer, but it's something that he's in the process of working on so we can gather that information.
No, that's a fair response. I guess, how are we addressing it, though, in regard to helping the kids understand where they are? Is that information that the guidance counselors have and is sharing with the students?
Yeah, so-
And/or is that getting sent home to parents?
So at the end of each year, at the end of each school year, yes, on that form of communications, the credits are listed. As far as the report cards, the 3 prior report cards to that, it is not. And that's the piece we're looking at. But to answer your question, yes, the guidance counselors have a responsibility to meet with each student at least once each semester and have that communication. The guidance counselors do look at data when progress reports come out. So again, every 22 days, home is receiving some sort of communication as to what the academic progress is of their child. So every 22 days, you get either a report card or you get a progress report containing the grades. Also, PowerSchool provides the grades that teachers are submitting all the time. So between that communication, the guidance counselor's communication with students, they know where their academic standing is. They know how many credits they've attained in each department, because the credits are different for each department as to how many they have. So those communications take place. And Andrew, correct me if I'm wrong, or if I'm not explaining this as articulately as I should, the process that you have when you meet with your guidance counselors along that journey.
If you don't mind me butting in, everything you said was right. The experience that I've had and that other students have had is when we want to know what our course credits are, we make an appointment with either Miss McCush or Miss Kett, and we're just like, hey, we want to know what our course credits are, and we'll go there, and we'll either get a printout of our transcript, she'll show us the transcript, and on that, we can also look at all of our course requirements and what course credits we have. And she'll explain it to us and be like, this is what you have, this is what you need, this is how you can get it next year.
Were students given that? Sorry to interrupt, Don. Were you done? Were students given that prior to doing the? Well, I understand MyCap would probably include that, but the program of studies.
So the program of
were they
study-
given that
Yes.
list of like what credits they had currently versus how many they need to graduate? Kind of.
So it's outlined in the program of studies, which, as I shared, when they did this program of studies event, they had a passport that went through, and the same QR code is on that. Individually, as they meet with their guidance counselors, the guidance counselors go over it. I concur with you, Mr. Myers, as does the superintendent. It'd be great to have that running, you know what I mean? So
totally.
Each report card, it lists it.
Or at least to check on PowerSchool easily.
Exactly.
I think it's a form, I think there are so many reports that PowerSchool provides, and like when I go in, I can look at a counselor dashboard that gives me everything about the student that I've picked. So it's making sure that some of those, it's not a window, it's fields, yes, that's the word, fields are added to something that is viewable by the student, which I don't know how complicated that is.
It's very
And some of it-
not doable, but every time we want to do something like this, build a new report, it takes a few months because it's not Sean doing the work. It's Sean telling PowerSchool what he
Correct.
wants built, and then the technicians and software programmers at PowerSchool create
Correct.
it, they send it back, he says, okay, let's test it,
Mhm.
and they do a beta. And
There's
so
got to be
there's
other schools though that utilize PowerSchool that have this feature, don't?
It absolutely can be done, for
Like,
sure.
It doesn't sound like something that would be reinventing the wheel. Like I understand what you're saying
Right.
for customized reports, but we can't be the only school looking to have
It sounds like
that ability to provide that to our students. There must be other schools that use PowerSchool that have a very similar report that they could just copy the template and put it into our.
My guess is if that was the case, we would do that because Sean is so adept
No, I know.
with PowerSchool and
It's also, Mrs. Lewis, it's also a part of
Different license or something.
what you want to give up.
Yeah,
And
I
they,
don't get
yes, other schools do it. I will tell you, we did it at Plymouth North. But you have to give up a field
Got it.
Together, yeah.
because it only accepts so many fields. So
Understood.
what do you want to give up to
Fair
get
enough.
that field.
Fair enough.
So it's I will tell you, it's in the process. We've been in discussion with him. He knows it's a want. He knows we want it. Those conversations have taken place. Go ahead, hit me with another one. I can see it.
I recall, and this may or may not be still going on, but parents had to sign their students' course selections. Is that still the case?
The process that was in place
All right.
last year for scheduling is the exact same process that will be in place this year. We've just moved it up about 6 weeks. So same process.
How does a parent sign off on that, not knowing where their kids are in regard to the credits necessary for graduation?
I would pick up the phone and have a conversation. If you have any questions, we're always going to answer it. I understand what you're saying. It'd be nice to look at your last report card and know.
I'm not even thinking that. It'd be nice if I'm looking at what the course selection is, also here is where they stand in regard to the credits, as a separate piece of paper, to be able to inform me that, okay.
They've got all their science requirements, they're done.
Right.
They can take that art elective.
I'm okay with signing off on this, because otherwise I'm kind of just signing blindly that this sounds right, or to your point, I have to call. Hopefully I get somebody, get back and forth.
I would encourage, well, our program.
And I'm just thinking, how can we be proactive?
So the other night, we had a program of studies evening that was open to one and all. We had very good attendance. We had about 175-something people. So that was another opportunity for parents to engage. Every staff member was there. Our guidance counselors were there. So that was another afforded opportunity for parents to communicate. I believe the communication is solid with regards to academic standing, because there is something every 22 days. I concur with you. A parent may not be able to say, my kid needs 3 out of 4 years of science. Have they taken 1? Have they taken 2? Those answers we have on record with the guidance counselor. Okay? What we just talked about is the process of getting that home to the families. That has to be a whole new form. That has to be a whole new set. But I will tell you that any guidance counselor, any administrator, we would love the fact that parents were that engaged in the plan of their child, would sit down and have that communication with the parent, with the student, we would welcome that. We want parents involved with their students. We want students making educated decisions. We want parents making educated decisions. So those doors are always open. And Mr. Myers, if there ever is a case where you call and don't get a return phone call, please make me aware of that, because that's not how we operate.
And I think for students that are obviously at the high school level where they're earning credits, don't you keep that June report card on the refrigerator and it's all right there?
I keep it.
I keep it. Because you would at least have through 9th grade, here's the credits they've earned, and then.
I was going to say too, the other piece is that I would add is that if a student is at risk of, or is behind on the credits where they're supposed to be, in other words, a sophomore hasn't met all the credits that we expect a sophomore, the guidance counselors have reached out to them.
So I think, I don't think we're saying that people aren't doing what they need to do to inform. I think it's more of a empowerment piece, in a sense of like empowering the families and the students to just be more aware and take a little bit more of that responsibility themselves, is how I'm kind of hearing it. It's not so much that we're saying guidance can't give us those answers. I think it's more empowering the student, empowering the families to just have a better sense without having to interrupt someone's day with a phone call or something. You know what I mean? It's more an empowerment piece than people aren't able to provide that. We know you guys can provide that stuff. I think it's just making it more easy and accessible, I guess, is what I'm hearing. Correct me if I'm wrong, John, but I think that's really the crux of this. Yeah.
And the students.
Exactly.
To be able to see what they're doing.
Yeah, and own it themselves,
And Mrs. Lewis, to your point, that was part of this
Yeah.
redesign.
Yep.
It's your plan, it's your future.
Oh, no, I'm on board. You have to sell it. I'm on board. I do also, if anybody else have any other questions, I just want to give a kudos to that newsletter on Saturday mornings. Loved it.
Good.
Thank you.
Good.
Please keep them coming.
You're welcome. All
Can I
right.
tell you just something Ms. Pitzel said to me at Program Studies Night? She watches every one of our school committee meetings. Hi, Ms. Pitzel. So that she can keep up with what's going on so that it can go into those daily bulletins.
You're doing a great
I was
job.
like, you do?
Yeah.
You
Oh, look.
really? Thank you. So.
We'll have to give her a shout out every
she's
meeting
got
now.
a shout out right there.
And she's engaging students in the final product, which is
Yeah, no, I really appreciated that.
Yeah.
When I saw that in my
Great,
inbox
great.
on Saturday morning, I was like, look at this. This is
Excellent.
fantastic.
Excellent. All
So
right.
thank you.
Thank you for the opportunity. Mrs. O'Brien, you have exactly 12 seconds left.
She kind of already, yeah.
You're not going in front of me again. Hi, everyone. I'm going to be quick. But thank you very much for signing our No Place for Hate. That will be on the front door of the main office, so thank you for that. Just a couple quick updates. Today was the 100th day of school for our pre-K and K, and they are 100 days smarter, and they're going to get 80 days even smarter ahead. So we're very excited. It was the 100th day, the day before, on Monday, for our grades 1 and 2. So it's really, really very exciting. There are posters all over the place. It is awesome to see the creativity of our families, and it's wonderful to know how many families participated. So thank you, Ashby. That was absolutely wonderful. Tomorrow night is our math night at the Coombs School, and that begins 5:30. And of course, everyone is welcome to attend, and you can see some of those wonderful 100-day presentations or posters that have been put together. Mrs. Souza, big shout out to her for putting together this winter waddle. It is based on our GG and ST math theme, and there'll be a lot of activities, and rumor has it there will be snow cones for those who come and participate. So it'll be interesting. But we're really excited about welcoming so many of the families. We expect it to be a packed house. So if you are coming, come early, park safely. So it's going to be interesting. I hope we all fit. The other thing I just would like to acknowledge our school counselors. This is School Counselors Week, and we have 2 amazing counselors at the Coombs School. Both Julia Thompson and Mary Ellen Walsh give it their all every single day, as well as Miss Beth and Dr. Milano, too, who are providing services to students in and out. So just thank you for all they do. I also do want to acknowledge my friends from Quashnet. The counseling staff here has been so supportive and really working to shrink that field a little bit. Mr. Prana did come over to Quashnet yesterday and met with Ms. Majakumo, one of the counselors here, and the student council members. And we're so excited to welcome 5th and 6th grade students to come and participate at recess with our 1st and 2nd graders. And it will be a mentoring role. It's really an opportunity to bring those two schools together and give leadership opportunity for those older kids and just engage in a different way. It brings another whole dynamic. So that couldn't be done without the collaboration between the 2 schools and the counseling staff to really support that, as well as Mr. Prana and Mr. Carroll for really making sure that bridge comes together. So very excited about that. One of the other things I do want to also share that we heard from both other principals too is shout out to Kathy Kingsbury, our food service person. Those Munchables are a hit. Even on Friday Pizza Day. Wow. Go figure. They're going with their Munchables and just love it, making their own little pizzas. One of the kids said, "Can I get more cheese for this?" So they're just having a lot of fun with it. And I think it's just having a choice, which before we really had the main choice and they could get sun butter and jelly or a sandwich, but it wasn't so clear. Now it's nicely presented to the students, and it's just been a really nice change for them. I think they've enjoyed it.
And they're eating a little bit more too, which sometimes during lunch we just don't see that. So it's nice to see them munching away on their Mashpee Munchables, which is great. And just a quick public service announcement here. Our pre-K and K registration did open this week. The website has been updated for the upcoming year. And one of the things we added to that website is a video. And Susie Brooks, thank her for her help in aiding a Screencastify video of Kendra going through all the slides step by step on how to register online. It is phenomenal, and it's a great resource for our families. So it's not just reading and clicking. They can actually see the whole process in that 3-minute video. It's clearly articulated exactly what those expectations and what the needs are. So please get registered for our pre-K and K classes for this upcoming school year, 24-25. So we're hoping to get that so we can plan for our classrooms and our numbers as early as possible. So that's all I've got. Any questions?
I have 2 questions for you.
Yes.
One, are we expecting or are you expecting an influx into the preschool this coming year?
An influx, no. We
As a
did
post-COVID impact?
Now, based on the census we received from the town hall,
Yeah.
I do not expect an influx, no.
Okay.
But it's somewhat of an unknown. So we do have quite a few applicants already in our portal, in the registration portal, but it's too early to tell.
Okay.
But based on the census we received from town hall, I do not expect anything greater than we have this year.
Okay, no post-COVID surprise. The other one, because I had a memory flashback last week. If you recall, a couple years ago, we did some innovation grants for, I believe, Casey Coombs and for Quashnut. Do you know what came of that? What did we learn? Did that expand on, or did it just kind of wither and die?
For the what? I'm sorry.
Innovation grants that we did for the schools.
Are you talking about the grants that the teachers wrote for that came out of school choice?
Yeah.
I do know that there were 3 classrooms that got chosen for innovative furnishings, one at each school. I think Anne Marie Finn in the English department at the high school, Heather Johnson at
And
this school,
Stephanie
and
Souza.
Stephanie Souza.
Mhm.
So although initially the purchases had to go in storage because of COVID, they are in use now, and the kids really enjoy those opportunities.
They are. I know over at Coombs, it's a first grade classroom. Stephanie Souza had received that grant. And I'm
Okay.
sorry, I couldn't remember the name of it. It's an innovation grant, but yes. And so it really is about furnishings and flexible seating, and desks have wheels. There's a lot of configurations that the teacher can make within the classroom.
Well, I guess the question is that something that we learned that is a positive thing that we want to expand on, and are we trying to take steps to do that, if that's the case?
I think we are at a point, definitely at the Coombs School, where we need to upgrade classroom furnishings, whether it is tables for students, desks for classrooms. We definitely are at a point to update that, as well as the seating, the chairs for kids. Some of the classrooms have been updated, but we do have some that are not. And I think it is a time that we're going to do that. And I have been working with Ashley. She's been phenomenal coming over to Coombs, and we've been looking ahead as to what we can do to update some of those classrooms, because they're at a point where they definitely need that.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, certainly. Thank you.
Thank you.
I think next, I would like Dr. Hanscom just to give a little update on last week's LPAC, first ever Mashpee LPAC meeting.
I'm so glad I'm prepared for this conversation.
Well, you are.
No, I am because I'm so excited about it, but I'll keep it brief. So you've heard us talk about the influx of English learners, or multilingual learners that have come into the district. And, you know, we've increased probably at this point from last year to now, I would say by 60 to 65%. Our numbers are up at about 140, and which is so amazing and awesome. When you hit 100 students who are English learners, you are added into the federal entitlement grant for Title III, which provides funding for English learners and for their families, to support English learners and their families. One of the requirements that comes with that is starting an LPAC, which is an English Learner Parent Advisory Council, similar to a CPAC, which we've always had for families of students with disabilities.
Could you repeat what that acronym is again? I'm sorry.
Yeah, so it's LPAC, English Learner Parent Advisory Council. At the same time, whether we hit the grant or not, we were planning on starting an LPAC this year because we see a need and we're so excited about it. So the first meeting was held February 1st, last Wednesday, here in this room. And we had, Mrs. DeBoer had 4 babysitters she named. I had so many more babysitters that I can't name them all. But it was National Honor Society students. Originally, I thought it was going to be Andrew and Aisha, and then I heard Andrew couldn't come, but then like 12 other kids came to babysit.
A lot of people stepped up for it.
Amazing. And then there was probably 7 kids, I would think, that they were babysitting. So they were in that room over there. The families were here. We had 20 families come, most of whom did not speak English. And so we used the Pocket Talks, which are those translation devices I talked to you about a couple months ago. Mr. Maroney and Mrs. Brooks, our directors of technology and instructional technology, were phenomenal. They stayed for the whole meeting to help get families set up on the Pocket Talks and all of us learning how to use them. It was comical at sometimes because I would say something and then it would say the wrong thing. So I would say it into my device. It would translate into the headphones of each person in whatever language they chose. It would also print it out on the screen so they could see. But sometimes I would say something and it wouldn't say it right. So then I'd be like, no, not John, Sean. And then everybody would laugh because it was ridiculous. However, they worked. They worked really well, much better than I expected. We were able to elect officers at this meeting. And so we had several parents actually step forward to volunteer. But we have a chair and a vice chair. We had pizza and had lots of just conversation about what do you need as families of English learners. And then there was such sort of large need that was expressed for learning how to access PowerSchool and navigate PowerSchool that we scheduled our next meeting right then and there for March 12th. And Mr. Maroney and Ms. Brooks will come back and they're going to train the families on how to access PowerSchool, how to see the grades. In addition, most of the time was talking about what's an LPAC and what can we do to help you. But there was, that time at the end of the meeting where everybody's leaving, that lasted probably 20, 25 minutes because the families were just talking to each other. And that was the most amazing thing. So we talked about how isolating it could be to be a parent at all, just any parent. I remember feeling very isolated. I still do sometimes. But then you throw in navigating a school system that is completely different from what you experienced in Brazil, let's say. And you don't speak the language, and there's all this schoolese stuff happening. They were all just like stepping up and helping each other. It was remarkable. And I do want to thank Courtney Schneeweiss, who's she's a special ELE teacher here at Quashnet, but she's also the District 1 coordinator. She was really instrumental in helping get the slides together. And then we had several of our ELE teachers volunteer to come on their own time for no reason except they wanted to support Nadia Carboni, Adrian Godwin, both ELE teachers at the Coombs School, and Trisha Dempsey, who's an ELE teacher up here at Quashnet. And just one more shout out to Adrian Godwin, who is a new ELE teacher this year. She is also trilingual, and so when we did introductions, most of us spoke into the Pocket Talk, she was able to introduce herself in English, in Portuguese, and in Spanish. She is a native Portuguese speaker. And she also is teaching the conversational Portuguese class that we are offering to our teachers starting in March. And she's volunteered to, I mean, we're paying her, but she would do it whether we pay her or not. She's very committed to furthering this work. So that's my 10-cent explanation of our LPAC meeting. I will say the last meeting we'll have will be in May, and it will be sort of an international celebration night. So stay tuned for that, because everyone is welcome to LPAC meetings. They're open meetings, but the celebration night will be really celebrating all of the different cultures we have in Main Street. So.
Good. Thanks for that update.
Was I faster than Miss McSweeney?
I will say, I know Dan's not here tonight, but I know at the MASS conference, he attended one of the workshops on LPACs.
Oh, good.
So I know he'll be happy to hear this report as well, because I know he and I had a conversation about it. So I'm glad this is taking off.
It was so much more well received than I could have even dreamed.
Excellent.
And they kept apologizing that there weren't more families here. And I said, well, I used to do CPACs, and nobody ever came to CPAC, so there's 20 people here. You people are amazing. But there's always more welcome. Please come.
Excellent.
All right, in your packet, you have the report of AD Matt Treveri, and you also have Consuelo Carroll's report. I don't know if you have any questions on that. I know just one piece from Consuelo is she's done a lot of work, and we've coordinated together on a new DEI page on our website. So that's an ever-growing resource as well. I will give a shout out specifically to the 10 counselors that we have in our building. This is School Counselors Week. So Lindsay Kett is the Director of Guidance and College Career Readiness. Julia Ferreira and Deanna Crowther are both middle school counselors. Julia is the guidance counselor, and Deanna is the adjustment counselor. At the 10 through 12, we have Julianne McCush as guidance counselor, and Deanna Almeida is the adjustment counselor. In the Quashnet School, we have Meg Morrison and Lauren Majacomo and Phoebe Lambert all serve as adjustment counselors. And then, as Principal O'Brien said, Mary Ellen Walsh and Julia Thompson are the counselors at Coombs. We are very grateful. We can always benefit from more counselors, but I do know that having the counselors we do have who go above and beyond, the people do make a difference, as well as the school psychologists that we have in each building, does sort of set us up for making sure we can support students and identify needs in the best way possible. And then in terms of the athletics, we only have one more senior night. I know Principal McSweeney touched on it. So Friday night, the 9th, is our girls varsity basketball. But just to get it on the record, a shout out boys basketball seniors, Nevin Graven, Preston Joya, Dante Clark, Makai Hugh, and Thanos Pavlo. Our girls senior basketball players are Haley Garcia and Amaya Azevedo Frazier. Our cheerleaders were recognized last night, Haley Wenzel, Jaya Merkman, and Talia DiMaggio. Winter track was recognized last night, Charlie Jenkins, Piper Mildy, Silas Bailey, Lucas DeHelian, Tyler Theodore, Oysen McVeigh, Brody James, and Jake Bergonzi. And gymnastics was also recognized last night. We had two, Shane Frazier and Michelle Espinoza-Bruck. So it's kind of an emotional evening when you're finishing that particular sport after having played in most cases for many years. And it's emotional for families too, because they so enjoy watching their kids play. And then the only other thing I have as a sort of shout out is, I know that I put it in our Friday communication, but I do want to recognize Atlantic Subaru and Subaru of New England for their reaching out to us, and then in a very short amount of time, putting together a plan for providing us with a new therapy dog. So Subi/Kara, she's a chocolate lab. She was presented to us the Friday before last. She will be, her mother is our SRO, Katie Hennessy. So she's already been bringing her to school. The kids love her. She will have more of an intensive training this summer, but they paid for the dog. They're paying for the training. They gave us all kinds of treats and little gifts for the dog, as well as supporting the medical expense related to it. So we really can't say enough about that. And it was through, so the president is Levon Samarjian, I probably said that wrong, and then Gegem Sarkeesian, their general manager, also has students, 4 daughters actually, in the district. And when he saw on social media that Kiki had passed, and even though Kiki had retired 2 years ago, they really wanted to do something to help us. So our connected community has expanded beyond just Mashpee borderline. So thank you to them.
Thank you.
Okay.
I had, does anybody have any questions? I have 2, but I don't know, do you want to go first?
I do have, I have one.
Okay.
And it's really in regard to the SPED director at the last meeting mentioned that she was working on a SPED audit, and I was wanting to know if that was a compliance audit or operational audit that you're doing.
The one you reached out to have come, the special ed audit, Bill Lapenia.
So it is not necessarily a compliance audit, it's just looking at the resources we have within the district and making sure that we're meeting the needs of all the students. So it's a self-initiated one, just kind of looking at everything and are we meeting all the needs? Do we have the right programming? Those types of things. So
Okay.
looking at like suspensions and attendance and in district, out of district.
When do you anticipate completing that?
Well, he was here last week, I think, and I'm
This
providing.
is a third party that's doing it?
Yes.
Okay,
Yep. I would say in a couple of months, probably,
okay,
a month or so.
all right.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
I just wanted to back up for a second to the report from the outreach coordinator. I guess one question, one plug. The We Are Mashpee store, not in the Commons anymore, correct? It is completely out.
We had the pop-up.
Any word on, I know we were talking the bus that might be
moving.
able to, the movable store. But any word, just because I know, there are some people who have asked. I know it's open after hours at school, but.
Right now, there is nothing, no options for the Mashpee Commons other than when they do offer us a pop-up opportunity, which is a little bit of an undertaking.
Yeah. No, I
It's
imagine
not as
it is.
easy as we think. The bus is progressing. We do have to do a few repairs to the vehicle, and then Cape Tech is going to help us with the inside and possibly the outside as well. That was more designed to be able to go to different events like Oktoberfest or the family picnic, other events to basically show off and celebrate Mashpee.
Has any partnership been considered with one of the more local shops, I guess, would be my other question, almost as a consignment in a sense? Like, so that you could have something that has the Mashpee items that are both made by the students available, you know what I mean? Like, because the Commons does have a lot of independently owned boutique type stores. I don't know if she's thought or has considered like a consignment type arrangement in this.
I don't think she has yet because it's sort of a new concept. It's not a full-size bus, it's a small bus. And then I also wonder, how that would work in terms of using school or town resources to promote or, they could donate items that we could do something with and that would maybe
No, I
propel
meant
them.
our items that we currently sell.
Oh, yeah, they're going to be on the bus.
I understand, but I'm saying.
Putting them in their
Putting
stores.
them in, like, if you approached, I don't know, I'm just gonna say. Sure, if you approached Whistle Stop and they had a corner in the ice cream shop that just happened to be a Mashpee, like, pop-up store, kind of like, or carried Mashpee items. And they got like, I don't know, 2% of each sale just for stocking it or something.
I think we can definitely talk to Consuelo. She's very good with her marketing, so
That
I'm
was more
pretty
just
sure.
because it would
Yeah.
be nice, I think, for some families who might not be able to get to the school when it is open, those extended hours at the school, to be able to go to like the Commons and be able to connect, be able to shop on a weekend, let's say, or not have to wait for the bus for a big event to have the bus be there,
Well, we can always, yeah, there is a pretty extensive online
There's a few things that were missing though that, let's just say, there were some returns that needed to happen over Christmas and they were not in the online store. So I guess I'm just thinking there are items that weren't on the online store that.
Yeah, we definitely miss having the location of the Commons. That was ideal.
And we're so close to 400 on our YouTube channel. So I'm making my plug again. Follow the YouTube channel. It helps.
Yeah.
So there's my plug for that. Okay, moving on. Sorry. Thank you. Ms. Lopes.
In your packet is the FY24 report. I did not receive any questions prior to the meeting. Do you have any tonight?
Any questions?
Okay. The next topic in my section is the FY25 budget. We have been holding FY25 budget meetings with the town. We had, in the last month, had our CIP meetings, and both of our CIP items that we have brought forward for kitchen equipment and Chromebooks were approved by the committee. There are still some open items in regards to DPW submissions, and I believe there is a CIP meeting next week to circle back on that. Once I have more information, I can provide that to the committee. We also had a meeting last week with the town manager about the FY25 budget. There are discussions about reductions on both the town and the school side. However, at this time, there are still some unknowns that they are collecting information for, and we should have better information for next week.
We'll cover the finance subcommittee, I guess, in a second then, because we have a little follow-up to that, unless, Dawn, you'd like to jump ahead to that now.
Well, I was just looking, because I don't think we have it on the agenda.
We do. That's right. Oh, no, we don't, do we?
Oh, finance working group, yeah, we should have put that.
We should have. Well, then.
So now it's good.
Yeah, the finance working group did meet on Monday afternoon for the rest of the committee members. Town manager is requesting a cut to our budget of, I mean, can we say the amount's publicly known, right? I mean, so he's looking to cut $600,000 from our budget and an equal amount from the town side. And so at the finance working group, we kind of first heard that news and started brainstorming a little bit. Obviously not what we wanted to hear. Dawn, do you want to add anything? I mean, we kind of started talking of possible ways and where to come up with that number. I'm not sure we really liked any of those options that we came up with, but.
I think because there are still some unknowns, if we were to cut 600,000 from our current budget, that would mean a 1.97% increase from FY24 to FY25, which does not even meet, salary obligations. So I don't think that's necessary. I think we need to wait and see. I think that was sort of a high end 600 from town side. There's a lot of pieces to look at, and I think there's time.
We do have a follow-up meeting next week to talk about next steps. For instance, health insurance numbers are coming out this week. So once we have that, we can really talk about how that impacts the budget overall for the entire town, not just for the schools. And then moving forward, just kind of where we are in our current year and how that's going to impact the FY25 budget.
And then we looked at the school choice, running balance, which quite a bit of that balance is committed to HVAC, and then keeping the $250,000 floor in place. There was a little bit of money there, a little under $200,000 that could potentially be an option to explore. So there's components to look at.
Yeah, I mean, there are definitely some options available to the committee in regard to how to address a significant cut if it remains a significant cut. Some that you'll like and some that you won't like. And I agree, until we have better clarity in regard to what the final ask is from the town manager, it's a little premature to say which one of those options we want to choose or which combination of those options to choose. But I think the big point here was just to make the committee aware that the town's looking for a reduction in what we requested for FY25. So there's something else I was going to say. if we do have a change in the budget, the committee will have to get together probably prior to the next meeting. So
Yes.
the chair will have to request a special meeting.
Yes.
To be set up, so just to give everyone a heads up.
And that can be a remote participation. It doesn't have to be in person, but just be aware, I guess, as like Dawn said, we really just wanted to bring that to the committee so that you're aware. And as you know, everyone has mentioned, there are still unknowns. We don't know the final number. That was the initial number, but that could change between now and.
I mean, my biggest concern is we went through this a few years ago where we had a 0.4% increase, and we spent the next several years trying to catch up from the impact of that. And, 80+% of our budget is locked into contractual salary obligations. So there's not a lot of flexibility there.
The town manager did say in terms of him looking at the $600,000 cut on the town side, that there would be no layoffs on the town side.
Again, just bringing it to your attention. There'll probably be more discussions coming up in the near future as we get those unknowns, as they become knowns.
Yeah, and our goal is to be able to present to the committee options.
Yes.
That then you can choose from.
So, again, on the radar. So, moving along, HVAC project update.
So I have two updates for you. The first is the HVAC project at Casey Coombs. The RFP was made available today. There's going to be a pre-bid meeting on Monday, February 12th. The deadline to submit sub-bids for the RFP is due on February 21st, and the deadline to submit bids is March 1st. Those will be reviewed, and the contract will be awarded on March 11th at the Select Board's meeting. The second update is for the OPM that we need to procure for the Mashpee Middle High School and Quashnet project. The advertisement is going out this week for that. The RFP will be released next week. The deadline tentatively right now for submission of that RFP will be on February 29th. We will conduct interviews on March 5th, and the bid will be awarded tentatively on March 11th is the plan.
And just for the public who aren't aware of all of those terms, RFP request for proposal means they're putting out the request to all contractors who work in these fields to give us their best quotes. State procurement laws are all fun like that. You've got to do all sorts of fun documents. And then OPM would be the owner's project manager who's going to kind of oversee everything. So just again, to clarify for people who might not know all those terms and understand why this process is the process it is, there's a lot of steps to it. But that's great that we have dates on that. So thank you, Ashley. March 11th. Be at the select board meeting. All right. Okay, so moving on. Any other questions for Ashley before we move on? Okay. Okay, the policy subcommittee, we met on the 29th. MASC did its kind of semi-regular overhaul of policies.
Well, I will admit there were a few updates that I apparently missed, so we were catching up.
Okay, so what we have here in front of us, the bulk of what's left of the packet, are the policies we reviewed. We're going to start with it is the new one, correct? Or it's a change to the handbook, sorry. This is not a policy, this is a change to the handbooks. Nurse Stacy, would you like to come and kind of fill the committee in on this a little? This one was requested by our wonderful Nurse Stacy.
Good evening.
Hello.
So our current handbooks have aroma scent protocol in them. We realized from health advisories brought to our attention through some students at the high school that one thing missing in our protocol was addressing things like aerosolized deodorants, body sprays, those kind of things. And then when we looked at it again, we realized that was correct. So Health Advisory took a look at the American Lung Association policies. We do protocols for our handbooks. We looked at other schools, such as like Natick Public Schools, Framingham, Off Cape, and their protocols. Pretty much aligned with what we had for cleaning products, but our language didn't have the body spray type deodorizing piece to it. So this is what moved forward, just to kind of address those items too for fragrances, whether they're and indoor, not necessarily outdoor. And then also our cleaning products, which has always been in our handbook, such as air fresheners and anything that's electric, or fire protocol and all that. So this is what has come out of it. So I believe you've had a chance to see it prior, but if anybody had any questions, I thought I'd just be here to answer them.
And some of the language that you see in blue is currently in the books, but it was easier to just say, this is what we're replacing. Not all three of our books matched, with, which is our goal. They're supposed to. So this is what the language will be that's in all three books.
Just a question here on words. So we say that because the possibility that aromas and chemicals may trigger an allergic reaction and become a significant nuisance, it's more than a nuisance that we're talking about. This is a health hazard.
So it's at least a nuisance. That's the language that's in things like American Lung Association and other districts. So not everybody is life-threatening allergy response to it, but it can trigger their asthma, allergies, coughs,
migraines,
congestion.
But it's a health hazard, right?
It has the potential to be. I mean, if you wanted to go stronger, we were just trying to go with what's out in the other surrounding communities and bringing it to the attention and awareness. It's more of an educational tool. It's something that we can reference when we work with people and educate, especially it seems to go in trends in my time of school nursing. When I first started, Axe body spray was really big, and then it seemed to stop, and now it seems to be back. So just trying to, education, it's all just about having someplace to start that conversation, do the teaching, and explain why unscented fragrances, unscented products are safer and better for others, and sometimes people just weren't aware of that.
The layering, correct? Because you'd have one person wearing the body spray, but then you'd have the Glade plug-in to cover the body,
the
so
body
it's the
odor and
layering
just-
of.
Correct.
But for those students, staff, or faculty and staff with asthma and allergies, is it a nuisance or a health hazard?
It can be both. So if you'd like to go a little stronger or change that wording, I'll defer to you all. But
Committee spent 2+ hours looking at this language, so I will say.
If I read something's a nuisance, I interpret it.
It's or.
No, it isn't.
It's and.
And. So it can be life-threatening and a nuisance.
It doesn't say life-threatening, though. It just says an allergic reaction.
But still.
Yeah, that's what I'm,
You could have, and may pose a health instead of, and become a significant nuisance. It could be that aromas and chemicals may trigger an allergic reaction and may pose significant health
risks.
Yeah.
I'm fine with that if you'd like that, sure.
Sure.
And may
Because once again, if I read something's a nuisance, that's kind of like, oh, okay. If it's a health risk, I'll more likely to take notice of it.
All right, so it would read as, because of the possibility that aromas and chemicals may trigger an allergic reaction and may pose a significant health risk to students, faculty, and staff with asthma and allergies, and, this is a run-on, but anyway, and because these devices pose a significant fire burn hazard, Mashpee Public Schools prohibit the indoor use of any type of fragrance products and dispensing devices, including but not limited to. Do we like that?
I'm fine.
Going once, going twice.
Sold.
Okay, so this is a first read, so if we would like, to sit with it or dispense with the first read, I'll entertain a motion either way. We do have a potential, but we could vote to approve. I leave that to the board, or the committee rather.
I would just leave it as a first read since we have so many of these, and you can, unless this is has to be approved today.
So I think my understanding and hope is to be able to amend it, add an amendment to our website handbook so that we have something to refer to, because right now there isn't any language addressing the deodorizing and scents. And it is, and as we get into spring and warmer weather and seasons, I know we're going to be addressing it more in our buildings. So I'll gladly come back, as you all know, but if we could have it approved tonight, that would be awesome.
So be it.
All right, so is that your motion then?
Yeah,
I'll second that.
Okay, wait, hold on, let him make his motion first.
I'll make a motion that we dispense with the second reading of the proposed aroma set protocol language and approve it as amended tonight.
Thank you, Don. Matt, thank you for the second. Any further discussion?
Yeah, I guess, in regards to the, note, under the essential oils, the burning of cedar, sweetgrass, and sage may be used for ceremonial purposes outside on school property with prior approval of the building principal. I feel like if we could edit that as well, I feel like it should read, that it's used for ceremonial purposes only, because I do think that, you know, I know that the tribe and tribal members, you know, predominantly have ceremony. I'm sure other, you know, ethnic groups and cultures have their own customs and beliefs. But if we could just, I think, specify that that's the only place that it could be happening outside. But then also the building principal. Would it be easier for us to just say the building administrator, or?
We could say designate, building principal or
Yeah.
designate.
Designate, I like word designate.
And that would just make me feel a little bit more comfortable, because if there was a situation, not any of our principals currently, but in the past, there has been some situations, I think, with them not being as knowledgeable around traditional customs and practices. So if somebody like Patty or somebody got a call, then I'm sure, I know that it would happen. I don't think any of us would stop that, but I do think that it's also important to kind of specify, I guess, with that particular.
We did talk about that too in the subcommittee, and Nurse Stacy said it was discussed as well with.
This is the language in our current protocol.
Yeah, this one is currently in the
Because
handbook.
at one point, it was understood that we couldn't do, that wasn't allowed, but it is.
And that was my primary question on that, was that there was a designated space, that it was always available. It wasn't
Covered designated space,
Covered
yeah.
designated place, because like, I didn't want it to be a situation where, oh, hey, it's raining, so you gotta go outside in the rain and do like your ceremony, you know, you should be able to do it like in a respectable, you know, place, so.
So, yep, that definitely was brought up, so thank you. Are you okay with that, adding that
Could I
amendment?
just clarify how, so I have it reading, note, the burning of cedar, sweetgrass, and sage used for ceremonial purposes only outside on school property with prior approval of the building principal or designee.
Yeah, that's fine.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay, any further discussion? All right, hearing none. Don?
Yes.
Matt?
Yes.
Brian?
Yes.
And I also am a yes.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Have a good night.
Thank you.
Thanks, Stacy.
Okay, so this next section are the MASC edits. We, as Dr. Hanscom said, spent about 2 hours going through all of these at the policy subcommittee. The first couple of pages in the packet, page 15.
15 and 16 is your
15.
summary sheet.
15, what?
Do you have the back?
I'm just looking at why it was 17. I'm getting ahead here.
Well, so 17 was
Oh,
the
yes,
agenda
that's right.
of the policy subcommittee meeting.
So 15 and 16 are kind of like our cover sheet here of what we're recommending to the school committee. The ones in yellow are all what are being updated. The updates were nothing very significant. It was more aligning to Mass General laws or cross-referencing with other policies that were currently in place. There really wasn't any changes to the ones in yellow that were of concern. Matt, feel free to.
No, there really wasn't anything that was like eye-opening.
Just the first two are only Mashpee changes.
The first two are Mashpee only changes, the rest were, and we can go over those two of what our recommendations from the subcommittee were. But sticking on and flipping over to page 16, the green were new to Mashpee, but recommended by MASC. Again, some of these are relative to new legislation that has been passed, and making sure that everything was as it needed to be in terms of legislation and regulations that have been passed in the past couple years, I think, or a year or so. And then the orange are ones that we are removing. They were either merged into policies or covered by contracts, or deemed unnecessary. So that's what the list of orange are. So now going to like the binder clip packet, JFBB is a Mashpee one for school choice. This was the one we discussed at our last meeting about the dates and making sure the dates were changed to what we proposed at that meeting. So that is what you are seeing in red are the new dates that we were discussing for deadlines for school choice. It also changed the numbering of that policy. So that one we, I believe, discussed and felt that was easily approved. The second one came up in regard to the recent hockey trip that we approved, where we had the slight confusion on what was an overnight trip or overnight transport. So what we discussed was really clarifying that language and using the language in the scheduling where it discusses student travel between the hours of midnight and 6 a.m. So we really tried to clarify that it is when you are on the road, the transportation of students between midnight and 6 a.m. must use motor coaches, and outside of those hours, it may be school buses, school vans, or private vehicles. So that was really helping to clarify that question we had as to what was overnight student travel. And that's pretty much the main change on that one. So those are the two Mashpee specific ones. Any questions?
So just a question, I guess. We've had, and I don't know the answer to this, but I'll just pose the theoretical question. We've had trips to yonder parts of Massachusetts for athletic events that started before midnight. Mm-hmm. Would those, and if those potentially would end, or the students would be still in transport back to Mashpee after the stroke of midnight, would that require them to be in a commercial motor van?
I think we were going with the anticipation. So like if the anticipate, like, because sometimes events do, like they have like a 11 o'clock you should be arriving, but then like circumstances unpredicted like happen. I think this was more of a, you know that the event's going to end at a time that like it'd be 1, 2, 3 o'clock in the morning that like the bus would be arriving back, that we had enough forethought to be like, okay, we probably shouldn't have some faculty member or coach that's been up all day and at the event all day, then driving a bus, and you know, on top of that, you know, it was a safety look basically.
That's how I would interpret it?
Yeah, yeah. That's what we're trying to,
I
that's
think-
the thing, is does the language communicate?
I mean, I think
Yeah.
some of the far western trips were athletic, and generally, if you've made it to some level, they've usually gone in a coach bus anyway. But also, yes, the teams did. Also, you know, you never know if a game is if they're gonna call everything, and all of a sudden you're sitting there in a 4-hour game, and it is later,
Like an
or
overtime
something goes quick. So I think, I think if you look at an event and know when it should be ending, and is there reasonableness that you would arrive home? Because there could be an accident that sticks you in traffic for 2 hours too.
Right.
Yeah.
So it's really trips that are initiated prior to that.
And that way, like, there's like proper planning's happening, like, so that if you're looking at the event, you're like, yeah, there's no way we're getting home before like, 1, 2, 3 o'clock in the morning, then like, okay, let's get ahead of it,
So I guess the question is, do we need to include that? Or is that, or we're going to rely on common sense?
Probably communicated.
I probably did too, but I'm not seeing it. I know we talked about it.
Like whether or not like that, like in the verbiage that we're using, does that like kind of like communicate that?
I thought we felt that in the trip scheduling section, it kind of covered that in that first paragraph, but I see what you're saying, Dawn. I mean, I'm fine adding verbiage. I don't think outlining it will hinder anything. I think maybe it should be at the discretion, like, maybe it, because those are unforeseen circumstances. I guess that's my only concern. Like, you can't really plan for something like that. But and you don't want to strand people. You know what I'm saying? Like, I guess I'm just trying to figure out how you
Less
get
is more. In that, I mean, because in many of these policies, you could think of unforeseen circumstances that you try to capture, and there would be a
Still got
lot.
less of mine, yeah. But by trying to like be too specific.
Yeah, I mean, whenever possible, trip schedulers should avoid planning student travel between the hours of midnight and 6 a.m. due to the increase. So I think we were thinking that sentence was what was the safeguard there of, when you're able to plan it outside these hours, but with unforeseen circumstances, you're not always going to know, that you're going to get home at 12:30 versus 12.
If the game in Springfield, if the game in Springfield, Mass is going to get over at 11 o'clock at night, well, we're probably not going to make it back to Mashpee,
Well, that would be,
because it's like a 2-hour.
but that would be a planned thing, though, if you know the game is going to end.
Yeah.
So it's really overnight trips that you're talking about, correct?
It's any trip that would require them being on the road in a bus between midnight and 6 a.m. The transportation of students.
I think we went with the vans. I think we were like that's what that was primarily. Because usually a coach isn't like driving the bus, but it's more like the school vans that like is a concern.
So if students will be on the road traveling between midnight and 6 a.m., they should be in a commercial, if it is unavoidable for them to be on the road. If you can plan the trip and not be on the road between midnight and 6 a.m., then sure, you can use a regular school bus, a school van, or parents can drive like with the robotics competitions, or students could drive. But if you are planning a trip and you know you will be on the road between midnight and 6 a.m., you need a motor coach. Does that clarify that, or?
I'll think about it.
Okay. So again, the policy subcommittee's recommendation is to basically adopt as presented, but if you would like a first read, and come back for a second read, that is understandable as well. If you want to pull some out to do and do a bulk, I mean, we can kind of do this a couple different ways, I suppose. But the next chunk really are just, as you can see, updating. This one doesn't have any BDFA. What was the update on the BDFA? It's the very first one in the yellow that was updated. This was about. I know I didn't bring my stuff from that meeting either. I want to say this one was about the meetings or the makeup. It was like the number of meetings held. was emailed me. Apologies. My memory is not its best right now. Policy subcommittee. So this is an updated.
Oh, so.
Okay, so this was, okay, so the changes to this one was, this one merges BDFAE1 and BDFAE2 and BDFAE3 into one policy BDFA. So all of the language that was in the old policies, BDFA, E1, E2, and E3, is currently now in BDFA. So that is what this change is representative of. It would eliminate BDFA, E1, E2, and E3 and make just one policy BDFA. So that is what this one is. The next one, use of electronic messaging by school committee members. This one was updating Mass General Law, as you can see in blue, as well as cross-reference. We added some cross-references where we could, so this is cross-referencing EBH, which is Data Records Retention, for any type of Freedom of Information Act requests that may come our way. So that is the only change to this particular policy, BHE. The same for policy DJ. That also was just updating the Mass General Law to Chapter 30B, Section 7149A.
It's the same, it's just legal references and cross-references.
And cross-referencing, but did we cross-reference? Oh, that's DJ, never mind, okay. So same thing, like Matt just said. Procurement requirements, again, just updating Mass General Law and cross-referencing with DJA.
Just a
Sorry.
quick one.
Pages 19 through 22 were what we sort of summarized as we went through the meeting, so you can see it there as well, even though Kathy's doing a great job going from.
Yeah, see the blue.
Quick question on the procurement. You're the school purchasing officer. And that's bestowed by Mass General Law, correct?
I believe, let me just find it.
Nothing but that the town does conveys that right to you. Is that correct?
I think so. I don't think it's a town decision. Superintendent designate purchasing.
I know you're, yes. Thank you for bringing that back up. This is stemming from a charter review conversation. Yes, it is very charter-esque, as who is a procurement officer for the school district. It says it's centralized in the superintendent's office. The superintendent will designate the district's purchasing agent.
All right.
We may need to look a little further into that.
Well, it also depends, every district's a little bit different, so you can have your procurement certificate, so there are two people, or I know there's a person at town hall that has gone through it. I went through it when I was in a different district. So in Mashpee, because most of our facilities projects are done on the town side, the town does the procurement. There's not a lot of things we, as the schools, have gone out for bids for. We do procurement with the 3 quotes, and that's something that's done within the business office with,
But do you use combis for like even supplies or chairs and such? Because I know sometimes you can get really good deals on office equipment through combis. So.
You can, and this is just a state bid list in general. Yep.
All right. So you have the authority from a purchasing agent perspective.
We don't have to go through.
Right. Okay. But conversely, you don't have the authorities to dispose of that chair you're sitting in. Is that correct?
We designate what we would dispose of, but it does go into the town for their surplusing.
That's not a law.
Well, they're the furniture and those are all town of Mashpee items. So they,
The furniture?
I mean, they're.
Once we buy them, yeah.
You can use procurement for furniture purchases, like it's like Tom's buy.
Well, no, we're talking about
Oh,
the surplus of it,
surplus
so
of
then
it,
we
got it.
surplus the town surpluses the items
The auction.
at the auction, and then if there are proceeds from that surplus, it goes into the town general fund.
Is that per MGL or per practice?
Pretty sure it's MGL. Procurement laws.
It's different if you're in a regional school district.
Yeah, because where does it go?
Right.
But I think you were referencing DJE, right, Don? Is that the one that, I mean, aside from the conversation we had Monday night, but this DJE, which outlines procurement requirements?
It's the next one after the DJ.
Let's skip past it.
So there's purchasing authority. It's the one right after purchasing authority. The next one. There you go.
Procurement requirements. No, I was in.
Okay.
No, it was really the, who was
the authority?
Who gave the superintendent the authority? And this is, we're saying is coming in.
Well, 30B is procurement laws, so I would say it's Mass General Law 30B.
Is 30B, right?
That's procurement laws.
All right.
Okay. So again, this list pretty much through, what's the last one?
Are you looking for all the just updated ones?
Yeah, I'm just looking at, because IHBA is another one that doesn't have any, I'm just trying to see what that change was, IHBA.
IHBA, it was renamed Student Services Program.
Okay. So that was the change there. It's cross-referencing, that's a legal update, legal, so yeah, this goes through, what's the last one? JKAA, where it's really just updating and cross-referencing, that were the main edits to these. There wasn't any substantial change to the actual policy, other than there was a legislative update or a desire to cross-reference it with similar policies. So, trying to get to, I missed my color coding.
Oh, the color pages.
It's very helpful. JI. Okay, here we go. I do still, the physical restraint one still is sitting funny with me, and I want to bring this one on policy JKAA. This one we did talk about. They are suggesting we get rid of our corporal punishment policy and put it into the physical restraint of students policy, which to me didn't personally sit well. And the more I thought about it, and I talked to some other people who do this as well, maybe not in the education world, but outside the education world, who questioned that as well. I guess I just wanted to bring it to the board. We don't have to get rid of the corporal punishment policy. We can leave that one sentence as its own policy and keep the physical restraint of students as its own policy. I don't know, something about this one did not, I still am not 100% on this particular one personally, just because I didn't like how it lumped it in oddly. But that was my only comment on that one. And then the other thing about reasonable force needed to protect students, that wording also started to worry me the more I sat with it. Because what's reasonable force? And who decides the reasonable force?
That one's a legal term that is
Is
in
it?
all of the requirements of the training that we do and also in the audits that we have. So reasonable is, that's a,
But what's reasonable to me might not be reasonable to you, you know what I?
totally not disagreeing.
Yeah.
I'm just saying, if we're gonna go rogue on any of the physical restraint language, that's one I wouldn't touch unless Sarah tells us what the word should be.
I might want Sarah to look at this personally, because again, I'm just thinking, I don't want, not that we've had it happen in our schools, but you have seen in other school districts in the country where teachers have used what they considered reasonable force, that, in my opinion, if that ever happened here, would not be okay. And I don't, this particular one is the only one I kind of wanted to bring to the attention, really, because I just had some wording issues with it. And I'm not saying you didn't, I'm not questioning training language, I just.
No, I'm always gonna tell you what it is,
And that's fine.
legalese.
Yep. But again, there's other programs, I think, that do not use that language. Reasonable for, like,
In schools?
I said other, might be outside schools, but I guess I'm just wondering, why do schools use that type of language when other programs outside of schools do not? And I guess that's my concern.
So JKAA, which
Yes.
is what you're talking about.
Yes.
The only thing that's changed in here is some references.
Well, it's incorporating JKA. It would remove JKA from our policy handbook and incorporate it into JKAA. So it would get rid of the corporal punishment, but that language from that is actually the, where is it?
It's not highlighted here.
No, but it's in here.
It should have been highlighted.
It should have been.
Were you looking for the sentence on corporal punishment?
Yes.
It's the fifth grouping down, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. The power of
Yes,
the school
so the
committee.
power of the school committee. So that they would be new to us. And they were recommended for various reasons, some legislative, some just good practice.
But if you notice, the first two in that green section are merged. So we had them before as in separate spots.
Okay, so there's no wording changes.
No, it's just
I went
combining.
through and double checked.
Okay.
Yes. And when we sat for those 2 hours in the policy subcommittee, we saw the exact merging word for word. Nothing was changed. It was a strict taking one policy, merging it into the other policy, and now there's a new policy. Which is why you're not seeing the blue, because the language it's already there, it's just combining as indicated. One of the new ones would be the civil rights complaint policy for child nutrition programs. This one was relatively new, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, it was.
Or the legal reference also was new, because there was a recent decision, correct?
This was added or recommended by MASC in August of '23. Yeah.
No, this is the one about providing not discriminating lunches.
Oh, I
So like
gotcha.
your students who might need a halal diet or a kosher diet or whatever
That's right.
whatever their beliefs require their diets to be would not be discriminated against based on all of the listed identities. So this one would be pretty new to us. The next one, digital security relating to technology, was also a MASC recommended one, correct?
Yeah.
Yes.
This was December of '23.
Yes. And this is just to make sure that our data that everything, that our data is protected and maintained and managed in a safe way for all, which tied also into the next one. Data records and retention, which is also a new one.
I had a question
Yes.
that I know a few of the students have been asking me, especially when the debate had come around, like the new bring your own device policy and everything.
Yes.
Is there a way for students to learn about the safety of our network and what steps are being taken to protect our personal data, or is that just through?
Yes.
Those are.
I'd say get Mr. Maroney or Miss Brooks on the Mashpee Minute and do a whole.
Yeah, Mrs. Brooks is the data privacy expert. She actually is certified in student data privacy.
Yeah.
She got certified through a program 2 years ago. So yes, the answer is 100% yes. Do you think a homeroom, like a screencastify that shows in homeroom or on the Mashpee Minute? Or do you think like in class?
I don't know. It was like specifically for like I only heard it from the seniors specifically, so I don't know if it's maybe just like a specific class thing.
I don't think it is.
I'm gonna email her and you.
Yeah.
And see if we can get that going.
I think it'd be beneficial for all, honestly. I don't
Just
think.
to understand, you
Yeah.
know what I mean?
Okay, data records and retention, personal use of technology, that is likely the policy that you would be looking at, Andrew, would be policy GBEE, also a new one for us. And this one would be completely new and recommended by MASC as of December of 2023. We kind of implemented this ourselves, but this is actually putting it into and updating the Mass General Law as well as cross-referencing it to all of the other reasons why personal technology. So Andrew, those are kind of give you your whole list of policies that tie into and cross-reference with this one.
But just so you know too, Andrew, that the programs that teachers have access to that kids then are into, we only can use programs that have signed this agreement about student data.
Okay.
So that's why we don't like sometimes teachers to go rogue with things they find online.
Duolingo, which I love, and I'm using personally in my own life.
It's not like
It won't sign
Yeah.
the student data privacy. So while we used to use Duolingo in our world languages classes, they can't anymore.
Yeah.
Sign the data privacy thing, Duolingo.
And again, just the rundown of, so service animals in school, student use of technology in schools, community use of digital resources, and district website and social media, all new policies recommended by MASC. Some of them are renamed as well, if I'm not mistaken.
The green ones would be new.
Yes.
Any of these.
So,
the last one, the KDCB one, we did get feedback from Sarah in terms of social media and not responding to comments. So we may have Facebook posts that individuals comment on. No one from the district should comment back because that is a public record. And we would probably announce that we're not going to, so people don't expect there to be that interaction on social media. We can also shut off comments. However, there's a lot, I think, sometimes good, positive community building that comes from commenting.
didn't the other one, that language is,
Isn't that one?
yes, but I'm not seeing that language that talked about shutting off public comments.
Well, no.
Oh, there it is, sorry, commenting. So what we talked about in the committee meeting was that the second paragraph, that first sentence, in order for public communication with school committee and district personnel to be responded to in a timely manner in line with the legal requirements for public communication, commenting on all district and school sites will be turned off, which would kind of push people to email or call if they had issues rather than taking to social media to air or comment. And I guess that was something else that we wanted to, bring. Superintendent DeBoer said she finds value in some of the comments. However, I will admit I have mixed feelings about it, and I will say I lean a little bit more towards shutting off the comments on them not necessarily to quiet people, but I don't know.
I was just going to read Sarah's response. So she said, I had not seen that MASC update. That is interesting. I don't see a legal issue with shutting off comments, and it prevents against any discretion being applied to monitoring comments. I agree that it would be a good idea to publicly share the new policy if that is the committee's desire.
So yeah, we would announce that we would be turning them off before they would be turned off, if we chose to do that. I'm not saying we're deciding, I'm just saying as I've been mulling it over, Matt, I know we did talk about it, and I don't know if you want to share what your thoughts at the time were, but.
I mean, like, that was where we were talking about, like, it's a double-edged sword of, like, turning it off, like, because, like, people then either A, can be hurt, or, but, like, we wanted, like, communication to becoming, like, just more of, like, a official, like, one-on-one, or if it was something that was a larger issue, it would be then communicated on there, but, like, some of the comments sometimes just get, I don't know, like, appropriate language for that, but.
They take on a life of their own sometimes.
Yes, yes.
I think that Sarah just said so, that we didn't talk about, that I think is important, and I'm not saying we do or don't, but is that we're at risk of, if we respond in any way, shape, or form, who are you choosing to respond to versus who are you not? And
that's another thing, and then also who's monitoring? I mean, we know Superintendent DeBoer is on very regularly, and we know there are certain people who are on, but there's no guarantee that someone is always watching those channels. And I guess that's the other thing, because if you set an expectation that here's social media, you should get an answer instantly, and then it goes 2 days because somebody who was supposed to be watching got busy or life happened, and then you've got an upset person who went to social media to try to get a response. Like I said, we talked about it being a double-edged sword, and I'm open to hearing, obviously I'm bringing it for discussion because I do think it's important to consider, but I don't know. Again, that was...
My sense is that sometimes allowing people to post their comments allows them to express their opinions, and others may have a similar opinion, and therefore it might encourage someone to actually take action. That being said, I am a firm believer that no one who works for the school should ever be responding to any social media post, ever. And I know in developing some contractual agreements, that isn't specifically included in those agreements, that they cannot do that. So I guess I'm okay with, as long as it's posted that comments are not monitored, that this is a unmonitored posting, then within the social media's posting guidelines, because they will edit some stuff out, right? Let people comment if they want, both good and bad. Hopefully more good.
Yeah.
I guess I wouldn't discourage that, in my opinion, but.
That's, like, we kind of talked both sides of it out, just to talk both sides of it out. So, Brian, you have thoughts?
Yeah, I have a lot.
Share them. Let's hear them.
What do you think?
Let's hear them.
No, I think that, personally, I deactivated my Facebook over a year ago. Best thing I probably could have done. I think that that's also like, a full-time job to have somebody kind of monitor that stuff. Even outside of the school channels that we have, it's like you have these community forums like the Mashpee Message and stuff like that. And I can see how it could be easy for some of us to try to, comment or respond. And then, it is kind of on us to kind of watch ourselves and be mindful of that also in our capacities outside as school committee members and people knowing us. But I go back to, prior to COVID, I feel like when COVID came around, it's this new world where, a lot of people went to Zoom. It's like the federal government, when you're on the government Zooms and there's consultations and stuff, they turn off the notifications, stuff like that, like you can't comment. I think at the select board level, you don't see people commenting in the Zoom chat or anything else like that. And I feel like people also have the avenues and the mechanisms to go about it in the appropriate way. It's like everyone can sit there and complain, but at the end of the day, it's like, public comment is here for them. They're not kind of sending the emails, so I would want to redirect them to make sure that we're actually getting the information and the feedback that we need, and they're not just, complaining to complain. And I think that as long as we had those things in place, it would make me feel a lot better. I know the tribe is going through the same thing. We went back to in-person meetings. We're not doing Zoom anymore. We've gotten pushback from the tribal membership just because of transparency and stuff like that. People can't make it to the meetings, but there have to be systems in place and put the security measures in place to protect people. Make sure everyone's being accountable for whoever logs on, whoever has access to those kind of things. So from that perspective, I would just feel more comfortable with not allowing the comments on just our stuff for the school. Like I said, Mashpee Message, all the rest of that stuff, they can continue to comment. But just the burden that'll put on the staff, I think, and everybody, and it is a lot. I mean, there's also a mental component, I think, that isn't being considered. Because sometimes I feel like people get on the attack, and if they're attacking the superintendent or the staff or the administration, that doesn't settle well with people. And then you kind of get other people's families involved, and we all go home to our family. So somebody sitting there talking about us on social media, I don't think anybody would be comfortable with that. So I think to just protect the staff and everybody else, I would feel more comfortable with just turning them off and redirecting them. But that's just how I feel, I guess.
To your point, I think as long as it's like very well articulated, like that there is a means for communicating either displeasure or like information or like someone having like an actual comment, like there's an email means or there's another means other than just putting a quick comment and it's just being blasted for everyone to see. Like there's a mechanism, like you're saying, and that being clearly articulated on that page, like wherever we do have like a posting or a social media presence. It should be like kind of very clear in there, like this is how you get in touch with us to make changes or get hurt or come to a meeting or whatever.
It'd be good to hear from like the PTO and other people too. It's like I feel like there are community people. Like I understand sometimes people might not feel as comfortable to sit there and to express their concerns, but we do know that there are some community members within the town and also advocates that have come to our meetings to express concerns for the collective group. So I think that PTO, any other organizations that we can get in front of us to kind of hear from them as well.
Sure. Yeah. I also think something, if I may just say this, is something that's not that we need to think about with the internet is the anonymity that's provided by the internet. You don't really know who is commenting. It could be someone all the way in California, which really has no business having a say in Mashpee school committee. So I definitely agree with Brian that I think it would be best to just turn comments off. Not that I vote or anything, it's just as a...
But your opinion matters too, because I mean, like,
that's why you're here.
you and your peers are then like potentially going to see what kind of comments are coming through. And that's the other part that kind of comes to my mind too, is like some of the foul things.
Well, let's take example, Monomoy's boys soccer. They made it to the finals. Their goalkeeper missed the game-winning potential social media comments, and he was getting told awful things as like a 17-year-old that were heartbreaking. And I would hate to see any of our students go through that, because it wasn't just him, it was the entire team, but him specifically as the keeper.
Yeah.
And it's just, you look at that and you're like, who does that? Why? Like
Under
what?
our watch.
And under our accounts. And I guess that I'm not trying to, I am 100% free speech. You want to say what you want to say, that is your right. And I don't think this is really a free speech thing as much as it is managing our communications in terms of how we are putting out information and how we are asking people to communicate to us. We are not saying you cannot. We are just saying social media is not the way we want you to communicate with our district. And I think, again, using that example, Brian made some very valid points too. I mean, there's so many different facets to it. And I guess that's where I was sitting with it, in the sense of social media is great when it's great, but it is awful when it is awful. I mean, you just go on TikTok and all our Instagram and all the Mashpee Ships accounts, the anonymity that like, so I guess that was, I mean, we can't control the private stuff and I don't want to, but I'm thinking if we have a better grip on ours, which is why, again, just pointing that particular line out in this new policy, I think is important. Again, understanding Superintendent DeBoer's side of it, of maybe finding potential issues that can be addressed. Like, yes, there is that piece, but I'm just personally kind of like, which one is, and I hear you too, Dawn, like, and I agree, like, you know, so it is a double-edged sword, and that's kind of where we're talking, but.
I mean, I'm fine with restricting it. I mean, it's not gonna bother me a whole lot, because I think there's enough alternative places that people can go
vent
if they so choose. And similar to you, I haven't turned mine off, but I can't tell you the last time I looked at it. So I guess turning it off or ignoring it is probably about the same. And if you really want me, I'll find you, right? So that's a good
again,
point.
that was, yeah.
I had a question I was just reading here. JICJ, so student use of technology. Two concerns. And maybe it's overlapping somewhere else and I'm just not thinking of it here. Student use of technology in this, well, first of all, I cannot understand, and I'll defer to someone who knows English more than I do, hope, the second sentence of the first paragraph.
I was just going to the bathroom and I said, oh wait, technology, that's me. Hold on a second.
As such, the student use of technology part of their education. Oh yeah, that's missing some words.
No, it should be as.
Oh, as?
Yeah.
As part of.
Okay. I didn't know.
Good catch, Tom. Thank you.
If I can't read it in my mind and without stumbling on it, then something's wrong.
You're not going to the bathroom first.
The other question is in regard to this. Is this the policy then that requires that the student use a school-provided device?
No, I believe that was the personal use of technology, GBEE, which is two before this one. Go back just 2 pages. This is the one that is requiring them to use school-issued technology.
Expects the staff to use technology as provided. Employees, all staff, employees.
I think that's just.
No, that's in
Oh,
Yeah,
that's
it's in the handbook. I don't think there's a
Okay.
specific policy about student use of personal.
It's in the student handbooks.
Okay. Why wouldn't it be? Isn't the handbook supposed to be a reflection of the policy?
It doesn't need to be.
Could be a practice.
You can have more in the handbook than you do in a policy. And do often have more in the handbook. You also vote on the handbooks, so it's still your stamp that goes on it, but.
Just seems that we make an explicit effort here to address it for employees. Okay, but I guess that's because we don't have an employee handbook. So we have to do it there. All right. I answered that question.
Okay.
And I guess the other, our website or the MPS don't,
The district website? The district website? Wi-Fi?
No, the MPS,
Oh, the
the
Wi-Fi.
public side of is there a public Wi-Fi site?
access to the Wi-Fi. I believe people who come, I don't know if it's, Ashley, do you know if the Wi-Fi, if someone comes from outside and needs to use, like when Khalees comes? do they sign into our Wi-Fi?
Yes, I really have to check something off if I'm not mistaken.
Do the robotics team too? Because I know like they do codes and things like that.
That I'm not
Yeah.
100% sure on.
Like says there. Sorry.
Yeah.
I think just seeing like different networks on my Chromebook, I think they have a different network.
Oh, yeah, okay.
I don't know. I'm terrible with technology.
There's a different website?
There should be a different, like, network, like a MPS guest versus MPS.
Oh, yeah,
There's like a public
there is,
versus a MPS. Like, there's two different levels of people who are on, like, school-issued equipment are on the secured network, whereas MPS guest might not be as secured.
Okay.
Or MPS public, or whichever the public. Everyone,
All right. That addresses that question.
Okay. So, as you can see, we went through a lot of policies on Monday night, or the 29th rather. And we recommend approval of the updates. We understand though if people would like more time with them, but they weren't, again, we didn't feel they were, the new policies didn't feel they were that outlandish to implement, and the revised and removal of the policies listed or merging of policies listed made sense that we felt comfortable recommending approval as presented. However, I will defer to the committee as needed.
So is this the first read or are we waiving?
This is the first read. This will be the first read.
This would be the first read, yes. But again, totally the discretion and decision of the committee.
Was there, Mr. Moore, was there one that you had a question on? I thought on the, at least that there was a comment on one of the ones in regard to contracts.
The only other one we had reached out, which was a removal IL, I believe it was. Where is that one?
Evaluation and instructional programs. You didn't include the removed ones, only the.
Oh, no, I didn't put them actually in here. But there was one I reached out to Jim Hardy about, but he, in terms of why Mask was saying to remove it, and I did not get a response yet.
They're prepping for the weekend probably, because we have a training.
Well, that was, I mean, I did it when I did Sarah's request, so that was
I'm just
like
saying,
right after.
He might be prepping for the weekend. There's a
Last Tuesday.
leadership, division leadership training on Saturday and a board meeting Friday. They have meetings Friday all day and all day Saturday. Not that I'm making excuses, but.
So Don, I'm not sure which
I
one we were
don't
talking
remember
about.
seeing it. That wasn't.
The removed ones, yeah, they weren't included in here.
No, this was when, I think the draft agenda was out, there was a comment on one of them. And obviously I don't have the draft agenda, so I don't know which one it was. But I thought it had related to some contract.
I mean, nothing is urgent or pressing. If we want the full committee to vote, if we want Dan's opinion on things as well, or if we do want to dispense with the first reading, again.
Well, you had an issue in regard to a couple of these.
I did. We talked about some of them, so I don't know if we want to make those amendments. Again, we can go in any direction really here, how we want to do this. But still have a couple other things to talk about, so. Shall we?
Fine with either.
Okay.
Yeah, because we were on the meeting together.
Yep.
I mean, so really we just have one amended policy then, correct?
If you're talking just about the student restraint policy,
No.
the corporal punishment,
JICJ, we just talked about that needs to be amended, correct? That was on, that was missing the word,
Yep.
so that has to be corrected. And then you had an issue, or you had concerns in regard to the restraint.
JKAA. And whether we kept corporal punishment as its own or incorporated it. And then we were good with, we didn't need to make any changes to the travel. We were good with the wording there, correct? I know we're kind of jumping all over the place right now, but.
I believe we came to the conclusion that that was like in the other language.
Yeah.
And then the comments section.
I mean, I'm okay with it, with that one amendment.
Putting the word as in the JIJC.
Yeah. Because everything else is really just references.
Yep. Okay, well, if everybody's comfortable with it, I mean, I'll entertain a motion to approve as amended.
You still have to waive it first.
Oh, yeah, we do have to waive it first, I'm sorry,
We have to
yes.
do a waive.
We would have to do the waive first. Thank you, Brian.
All right, I'll make a motion to waive the first read.
Second.
Oh, second read.
Second.
Thank you. Any further discussion? Hearing none. Dawn, yeah, it is.
Yes.
Brian,
Yes.
Matt?
Yes.
I also am a yes. Okay, so we've waived the second read. And now I'll entertain a motion to approve as presented with suggested amendments. Or amendment, rather.
You got updates and deletions here too.
I'll make that motion.
Thank you, Brian.
I'll second it.
Thank you, Matt.
So is your motion for the updates only?
Updates with the amendment.
Amendment.
Okay, so it doesn't cover the removal of the policies.
Well, that would be the updates, would it not? You want it to be worded exact? I meant the updates to the policies in general, which would include, I guess we can reword that.
Because here you're presenting an update, you're presenting new, and you're,
So you want them all in one, in separate motions?
no, I'm not saying that, but there's updates which would cover the changes to the current ones, right?
Yep, the addition of new.
And then the additional policies, and then the removal of the list of policies.
Okay.
We need to cover all three of them.
Yes, so,
The motion is to update additions and removals.
so do you wish to amend the motion, Brian?
Yes.
Sherry, did you get that? Thank you. And do you wish to second that amendment?
I'll second that.
Thank you. Any further discussion? Okay, hearing none. Dawn?
Yes.
Matt?
Yes.
Brian?
Yes.
I also am a yes. Thank you. Okay. That was quite a list of policies, so thank you.
Pay attention more closely when those updates come out. There's only 10 of them.
Okay, I believe we have an MOU here somewhere.
Yeah, the handout.
The handout, yes, thank you.
This is just an update from our last meeting. I did reach out to the council to have them review the MOU, and they said it was fine and we can move forward with it. What you have in front of you is a draft warrant article for town meeting. This will be vetted through town council before it gets put on more, but it is from the school committee, so I wanted you to take the time to review it.
And we discussed this at a previous meeting, like what, 2 meetings ago?
The last meeting, you voted to move forward with this.
So these are all state organizations, correct?
Correct.
We don't really need a vote on this because we've already voted. It's just gonna go through town council for approval, like for his, like rubber stamp, basically.
Exactly. Warrant articles are due on the 12th, so I wanted to make sure you saw it before we submitted it formally.
And do we know, will the select board let you know when they're going to vote to place and recommend on the warrant?
I can ask for that.
Just curious. Any other questions or comments on this?
So how would this work through the articles process? Because it's not a petitioner's article. It's a
The town
article
submitted.
sponsored by us. So
It's
would
a
the select
department.
board even have the authority to pull it
Yeah, they would.
Yeah,
still?
yes, because it's a town department basically submitting a warrant article.
I don't know why they would do it since the money comes to them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Who's our liaison from the select board? Do we have one?
You're,
Isn't it John's?
John's
I know,
ours
to
and
them.
you're,
Oh,
you're to
John.
them, but John is to us.
Okay. Cotton, okay.
Yes.
Yeah.
All right.
The only concern I have with the way this is written is if I didn't know that the Executive Office of Health and Human Services was the Mass.
Yeah, Don's right. Yeah, you probably should put Massachusetts in front of all of those just to be.
I would
Clear.
think that you're talking the federal government. That's my 2 cents on this.
That's a very good point.
It probably should be before all of them. like
Yes.
Mass,
Yeah.
Department of Children and Families, DESE.
Yeah,
Yes, okay.
and then I would update your explanation
Yes.
to incorporate that too.
In the explanation, also, do we want to mention the timing of when those reimbursements are given? Like, we say where they're going, but do we know, like, is it annually, is it quarterly? Like, do we want to put that in the explanation too for transparency's sake?
We can.
I figure it can't hurt. That way people know when to
Informational.
expect money coming in.
To the town.
And if we're not getting it, then we can go back and yell at the state for not giving it to us. Like, I've heard some regional school districts have trouble getting reimbursed for their transportation costs.
So this is a one-time election. There'll be years that we don't have any claims
Yes.
at all. So I can put the approximate date that it would be, we have a yearly.
Is there yeah, like just the cycle, like whatever their cycle is,
Okay.
and knowing that we might, and maybe that needs to be included too, that no, there may be years we don't.
Sure. I can work on a clear explanation.
I'm just thinking the clearer we can be, the better.
Sure.
And I would clean up the language because once you define an acronym, you don't have to keep defining it. And you're defining it
Yeah.
at least twice for DESE in that same paragraph after you've already defined it in the up above.
Yeah.
So
So you can just use your acronyms and cut your words down.
I would just say state agencies, and then you can use those acronyms to represent them. But in concept, I think this is great.
I'm sure Town Council Costello will feel that it's fine. He might add one or two things, but he'll probably, I think we're good.
And we have to put the reimbursement funds in the general fund, right?
Our McKinney-Vento homeless reimbursement already goes there.
The settlement that we have for the vaping class action suit is theirs too.
But I mean, at least it's money coming back into like the pocket, you know, like the town, you know, for something that they paid for otherwise. Because we'd be initially paying and then some money, revenue's coming back, and that might help in conversations, what we need.
Something to consider with the number of
Yeah.
dollars that need to get cut.
Yes, exactly. Okay, on to new business. If there's no other conversation about this, thank you, Ashley, for drafting that. Appreciate you doing that. Okay, parent guardian opinion survey, student opinion survey, pages 23 through 41.
But also you also have a handout of this most updated sort of sheet, and then you have a sample of the parent guardian survey as it looks for high school and the student survey as it looks for high school.
Okay.
I think we've pretty much gone over most of the questions at previous meetings.
Yes, this is to vote to move forward with distribution and get
So
this year's survey.
the window is February 28th through March 14th that we're going to have it, which is the Wednesday after the break through a Thursday.
So I did see something here when I read through it earlier today in regard to the bus experience.
Yes.
So we have a note that says, "My child's bus experience is positive. Note, if your child does not ride the school bus, please choose other and share your why." So
Yes.
now we have a why section down here. If your
No, that's, the second one is if you chose, so your why could be that.
Right, but where are you gonna put the why? You're gonna put the why there.
The why goes under other.
There's no box.
There's
You're
no
saying
box.
It pops
If
up.
you click other, a box pops up.
Yeah, there's a line there. You can't see it there, but
You have to click
if
it.
you chose other, it gives you a line to write or a box.
Okay. So why do we have a
Because, so we're trying to get at, if you don't, say, if your child's experience is not positive, so you
Right.
pick disagree or strongly disagree, down below as an optional question, it's not required. If you chose one of those, could you give us some insight? So your child rides the bus, but it's not a good experience. Why? So that we can do something. Not that you just don't ride the bus.
Okay, but I couldn't see that when I was reading this. Okay.
No, I know. Well, we'll do a little test run too, just to make sure the box pops up. It did pop up on the other version, but.
Okay, any other questions? If not, I'll entertain a motion to approve.
Yeah, I'll make a motion to approve the 2024 MTS Parent Guardian Opinion Survey, Student Opinion Survey.
Do you want to include distribution?
Oh, yeah, distribution, starting point is February 28th. Yeah.
February 28th through, what was it again, March 14th?
March 14th. I created a graphic we'll be sharing out. We do have, a little incentive for participation. I did talk to Principal Switzer, and he has a specific plan for fifth graders. They're going to come on March 7th into the cafeteria. He's going to lead them in, spending quality time completing it. Is the next day to do sixth grade, and Principal McSweeney and I are planning out for tomorrow, instead of it just being sort of crash and burn at the same time.
Okay, so we have a motion, we need a second.
I'll second.
Thank you. Any further discussion? Hearing.
So is the gift cards, where are those coming from?
Boosters.
The boosters are
Boosters,
donating those?
yes.
To the school committee. Oh, interesting.
To the what?
To the, oh, wait.
Because it's our survey.
That's right. Wait, are we violating any ethics here? Yeah.
I would have thought it would have come out of money
That's a very valid point.
appropriated to the school committee.
Yeah. And we can't accept gifts over $50.
Well, we can pull the name and it could go right from the boosters to the winner.
For doing our survey, though, they're still, thank you, Don. That's, yeah. Would we run that by Sarah or a town council for an ethics question on that?
Yes, Sarah.
Because that does present a.
And I guess the question that if we're gonna ask her is like, if it can't be through that, what means can we, like, what means or methods can we for incentivization or something like this?
I mean, technically, we're not in receipt of it, but
Yeah.
it is a donate. Yeah, it's too gray for my comfort.
I mean, I would personally just go
Think
ahead
of
and
that.
take it out of the amount so we have appropriated for the school committee.
Well, like Ashley said, we can't buy.
So if you,
But
so
you
then,
can't-
so if, can they
That's a-
do,
The school can't buy them, or?
Right, we can go get that. Let's see what Sarah says.
Yeah, let's see what Sarah
That's
says
by-
on that ethics question,
by
just
law
because
or by
there, it's a gray area.
Right.
It really is. That's why it didn't even pop
No.
until.
I guess my follow on is just like, if not, how can,
Right.
so that we
Yes.
can like make sure the students get, you know, something.
Like, is there a way to not circumvent it, but
No,
make
like,
sure
yeah,
we're able
appropriate
to?
legal means.
Yes, yes.
I will ask.
Thank you for catching that, Dawn. All right, so do we need to amend the motion then, approve? Well, we're approving the survey and the distribution. We didn't say anything about, but the survey does mention the giving of, so we would need to.
Why don't we take it out? Why don't you take it out? And then if the Sarah gives the approval or whatever, Mrs. DeBoer can send it out in the email that she sends with the link.
Kind of like a surprise, you know?
Hey, you could, you know what I mean? So it wouldn't change the survey itself.
Okay, so we had a motion and a second to approve and distribute as presented.
Can I amend that to state, after the removal of the gift card information,
So approve
with the subtraction of the gift card?
with the deletion of the gift card. Brian, would you second that amendment?
Sure.
Okay,
Is there a way to like frame it if it's allowable? Because I don't want to.
that's what I'm trying to, I'm trying to think of how you would word that.
Pending legal review?
Something like that.
But then what if legal review comes back and says no? Do you have to revote?
I think you would, yeah, I think you would have to, because if we word it pending legal review, that would imply it's being put back in.
And then to put it back in to begin with, we would have to vote.
When's the survey actually going to happen?
The 28th of February.
If we need to have that other meeting about budgetary questions, we could always revote them, because we probably would have to meet, not prior to the 28th.
I mean, school vacations.
Yeah, like what, like a week away, yeah? Like we got next week and then.
I mean, we could probably squeeze in a, 15-minute Zoom based on Sarah's input, yeah, that's not a problem.
Thoughts on that?
Yeah, I'm fine.
I'm fine with the Zoom as well. Just, again, defer to the majority of the committee.
Done.
Dawn, thoughts?
No.
Because I don't know how you would word that otherwise. I mean, either way, like Brian said, you're going to need a vote either. Brian said you're going to need a vote either way.
Yeah.
Okay, so the amended motion then is, Sherry, can you read what you have? Sorry, just want to make sure I'm straight here at 8:30 at night.
The first I have is removing the gift card pending legal review.
And then
Or
we'll have a revote based on.
That wouldn't be part, that wouldn't be part of the motion though, so. Okay, so Brian, do you second that amendment?
Absolutely.
Okay. All right, any further discussion? No, just pending legal review. All right, Dawn, how do you vote?
Yes.
Matt?
Yes.
Brian?
Yes.
I also am a yes. Okay, thank you. We have a list of Mashpee Public Schools 2024 summer learning opportunities for students here. I think this is an informational piece.
Yes.
If you'd like to read it, I would like to.
Oh, did you skip the annual report?
Yeah.
Oh, did I? I did.
That's more important than the summer.
Okay, so read this. I'm gonna just say we can read this at our leisure. These dates are here. If you have questions, I'm sure Superintendent DeBoer can answer those. Up next, we do have to vote on the annual report from the school committee. I did read through this when it was provided. I didn't really see anything glaring.
Could there be a way maybe to, maybe where it says respectfully submitted by, add Andrew's name? I mean, I know he's not, like.
I don't have a problem with that. Yes.
Good idea.
Any other? Give Dawn a minute to scan it, but
We will submit the pictures that are in it too, for them to use.
I like those pictures, so I think they're great. All right,
Just a question on the second full paragraph on the back page. So in conjunction with the Public Works Department, we continue to do all the necessary planning and pre-work.
We write it, it's a past tense story here for the school year 22-23. It's a very weird thing to write because it's.
Because I
Yep.
would
Just
write
throws
it
me.
incompleted.
yeah, no, it's,
No, I know.
you're kind of, you're like looking back and giving the highlights. Of,
Yeah.
Here's our greatest hits from the year.
Because that,
In that year, we continued to do all the planning and pre-work.
right, but we completed it.
Right.
For the completed project, okay. There it is. That's fine.
Entertain a motion to approve transmittal of the annual report of the school committee.
Make a motion.
Thank you, Brian.
Second.
Oh, he's got it. He's got it.
All right, thank you, Tom. Any further discussion? Hearing none. Dawn?
Yes.
Matt?
Yes.
Brian?
Yes.
And I also am a yes. Thank you. Okay. Determine date for MPS, Mashpee Public Schools, Mashpee Wampanoag Tribe joint meeting. typically we do this over the summer, correct? We do it like June usually?
Last time it was in the summer because it was, I think it was later, because I know I had
It was
the
August last
graduation
year, wasn't it?
picture of that year's
Yes.
kids, so.
We had done it in June, but then it was weird because we had retirees for MPS.
Yeah.
Also, we celebrated that.
We did it August this year, didn't we?
Think so.
I'm pretty sure we did August.
It was August, yeah.
Must be on some chart somewhere.
No, it was August. Yes.
Okay, thank you.
So do we want to look at August again? Do we want?
I think August is a good time only because we will have analyzed the survey too. We're going into the next year. There's a lot of things we can look at and plan. It could be after the retreat or it could be before,
When is the retreat?
I don't know.
So August 7th would be the same Wednesday that we met last time.
I'll be honest, I'd prefer it to be before the retreat because I think the input that we get from the tribal council is helpful for our goal setting process. That's because we're getting input from that group of stakeholders.
August 7th is likely before your retreat.
Likely, I'm just saying,
it would probably work.
my thought is I would like to get their input. I found their input at last year's meeting to be very valuable and insightful, and I found the conversation was enlightening and just my
So
thoughts on
maybe
that.
at the next, because we haven't laid out the school committee calendar of meetings.
Okay.
We could have a draft of that and then figure out the retreat in there and then come up with some dates to then work with the tribe on. Why don't we do that?
That sounds good to me. Any other thoughts from the committee? Okay. Upcoming events, we have the list. Again, I think in the interest of time, we can kind of read that. As always, we're always welcome and encouraged to go to events and not just at your child's school and other schools. I'm also going to plug the Women of Rock, really great fundraiser, and I have my tickets. I will be there.
Andrew's in it.
And Andrew's in
will be in the
it.
Women of
Students,
Rock.
exactly, which is even more reason to go. So I guess my items the chair did not reasonably know in advance. We are taking this senior week, we're putting it on the next agenda, so we will save that.
We'll have to come.
Any other items or agenda requests for future meetings? Nope, okay. I don't know why public comment is there, so.
Yeah, we don't put it in.
Nope. So, last motion of the night, who wants to make it?
I'll take that.
All right. Thank you, Don. And Brian?
Yes.
Don? Matt? And I also am a yes, thank you.